things are changing faster than we're prepared for it. You name the subgroup and we're taking care of them, but we don't give a shit about this country. I can see a revolution.
When I was growing up, if people were liberals or conservative, I remember there was tons of discussion about it that was perfectly 100% polite. And that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Now it's like literally you could hang out with someone for however long of a period of time, have a great conversation, think they're a great person. And the moment you find out that that person is a Republican, you don't want to talk to them anymore. Like there's no middle of the road. Like those, it's insane how things have gotten. And I think males are being driven to the right because of the values that are being forced on them by the left, and how there's just this massive divide in the country. And then just recently, another guy, this is an older guy. He's 58 years old. He basically was like is a Republican, but he differs from Trump's point of view on Ukraine.
Just recently, from what I understand, like that dude was a MAGA guy.
He went from
what I understand, he went from. I don't think he. I think he skipped over Republican.
Are you saying like all Republicans are MAGA?
No, most Republicans are not MAGA. And I'm a Republican.
Okay, and what do you think of as a MAGA?
The people who are like 100% all in on Trump. Trump can do no wrong. Those people. Whenever I had conversations with guys, and they're like, Trump 2024, Trump this, Trump that. Tell me 3 things that you don't like about Donald Trump or the Trump administration. And if they can't do it, you're a MAGA. You're not a Republican. Right? So don't sit here and tell me to vote for someone and you have no idea what this guy is about. Most of these dudes, you give them facts about Trump. I had some woman telling me about Trump's naval service.
He wasn't in the Navy.
No shit, he's a draft dodger. Right. So it was like, what? And when I tried to explain to her, she got mad. So I was like, all right, that's when I learned. I don't talk to people about that. But there's a distinct difference between MAGA and the Republican Party. And the Republican Party, I was talking to some heavy hitter Republicans not too long ago. And I'm like, hey, the Republicans got a problem. And the guy interrupted me. He said, yeah, what to do after Trump? Because they don't know, they don't have a plan. They don't know what to do. Their party is like ruptured, right? It's fractured.
Right.
So MAGA is not Republican. MAGA is 100% Donald Trump. I would say 25, maybe 30% of the people over there are like the hardcore MAGA people. The rest are Republicans. And I'm here to tell you, like, again, I'm red pill on everything. The true code on that, true Republicans, GOP guys, can't stand Trump. Look at the Bushes, right? Look at your Cheneys, right? There's a lot of hardcore Republicans that like, look at Kemp, Governor Kemp in Georgia. He's pinching his nose and doing everything he can, trying to work with Trump. And they were still having trouble because Trump does what Trump does. The hardcore Republican guys are like, man, this dude is a problem, but they want the White House if they can get it. He's the guy. So Republicans always get in line, whereas Democrats do Democrat stuff. They do some dumb shit. Look how hard it was to get Biden to get out the way, right? Only to give rise to Kamala Harris, who is not the one, but she's, got a shot at winning this thing, but it's too close to call. But
yeah, she did well in the debate, right?
She did well in the debate. Well, Trump did horrible in the debate.
I was gonna say, she at the very least was not the cackling, babbling idiot that you would think she was going to be. Instead, she did better. In part because Trump did badly, but in part because she was prepared.
She had a game plan.
Yeah, she had a game plan. Trump didn't. Trump, there were multiple questions where you just have to, it was a very simple answer. Very simple answer. Instead, you rambled and, I think partially is that one, his age, and two, he's doing his whole campaign tour is him getting up there and just babbling for an hour and everybody thinks he's wonderful.
That's what he did in 2016. That's why he got him in.
Right. So I just think
he's doing his greatest hits, and it's just a lot of people are over it. I'm shocked to hear that there are some Republicans out there who are actually going to vote for and are backing Kamala Harris. That shows you how crazy things have gotten over there. Republicans don't normally do that. The best you can do with a Republican is just they won't come out and vote, or they just won't vote top of the ticket and they'll vote down the ticket. Most Republicans really believe in our process. For them to say, no, I'm not going to vote, it's crazy. Or just I'm going to vote for the Dems. That you don't see that a lot.
Well, you're not, I don't think you're thinking clearly. Well, first of all, I don't think anybody's thinking clearly, because the fact is that you've got a whole group of people that think well, that Trump is somehow or another going to correct the problems that the country is currently in.
Right.
And the truth is that if that's what you believe, you're delusional. Like, you understand that that the national debt is absolutely out of hand. Like, there's so many things, unemployment is rising. We spent
wages are stagnant,
inflation, everything, the housing market is slowly collapsing. Like, there's so many things that we're on the verge of a just complete, maybe not a complete collapse, but a hell of a collapse.
Oh, you said a reset. We're headed for a reset.
Yeah. We're headed for a reset. Like, and that's a problem. And now my thought process is that the person that is best, or the party that is best equipped to handle that, is the Republican Party, because they are conservative on their policies. My thought is that Kamala and the Democrats will make some drastic changes that may make the situation worse. So
they probably will.
Right. But here's the problem. Neither party is going to fix it. It's really like, hey, the building's coming down. Do we want to bring it straight down, or do we want to have it curve slightly to the left and maybe take out that building beside it? But nobody is going to fly up there like Superman and keep the building suspended. It's coming down. The pillars have blown. It's how do we strategically bring this fucker down with the least amount of damage to who makes up this country, which is its citizens.
That's a fact. And what's going on now with politics, just imagine if Jeb Bush were running top of the ticket on the Republican side right now. I don't think the Democrats will be within 20 points. I think he would be up 20, 25, 30 points right now. I think a lot of people would vote. To your point, Republicans tend to do better in these type situations. But it's not the Republican Party right now, is it? It's MAGA.
Right.
And that's you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Trump, well, how much did Trump spend?
Rudyard talked about this. He's like, inside the Republican Party, it's fractured.
Yes.
There's like 5 different groups.
Yes. The Dems have always been fractured.
Right.
So you look at that and it's like, man, people are like, well, who would you like to see? I'm like, I would have loved to give Andrew Yang a shot. We're going to just pick a guy. Pick a guy who knows numbers and maybe could come out and say, yeah, we're in trouble. This is the best way to handle this.
What about Vivek?
Vivek is too much of a, what's the best way to put this? I don't trust Vivek to tell the truth. Not that you really trust anybody else.
I liked Vivek. I liked him.
He's like a YouTube president. He's the YouTube nominee. Like, he's the guy that I'm gonna say whatever I gotta say to make shit to get you to look at me and click on me. He had a good run. Now that he's out of the picture, he's talking sense again. But it's like, all right, dude, do you believe this wild shit you said over here, or do you really believe what you're saying now? Right? And even with Vivek, talking about race. The stuff that he had to endure from MAGA when he was running, the stuff that they were saying about him, the stuff that J.D. Vance's wife is having to endure right now with the wild shit that's coming out of the MAGA side of the Republican Party. And it's like,
I don't know what any of this is.
I can show you when this is. I can show you when this is over.
But I think that what's bad about that whole thing is that there was a time when these guys were, you were in politics and you were still gentlemen. Trump changed that.
Yeah,
Trump said, with the moment you said Jeb Bush, my first thought was, do you know what the first thought I thought was? Low energy Jeb Bush. Because
give me a low energy guy to save the country, bro.
Because Trump tagged him as being the guy's low energy. And as soon as he said, look, because Jeb Bush is not an excitable person. He is not he's not boisterous. He's not he's not energetic. He is low energy. But when he tagged him with that, I can't think of Jeb Bush now without thinking low energy. And that's the worst. Like, to me, and I've had these talks with people, it's like, to me, the moment Trump was going to run, like as a Republican, like when DeSantis ran, I thought, oh, that's a mistake. And I remember people were like, oh, DeSantis, he's going to win. He's going to win. No, I would not go up against Trump. You know why? Because Trump is going to throw so many verbal bombs at you, something will stick and it will ruin your career. I'll just wait till you go and you can't run anymore. He's young. DeSantis is young.
DeSantis was stupid.
He could have waited 20 years. He'd still be one of the youngest presidents ever.
He could have waited. He's not a smart guy. And DeSantis ain't cut out for that level. I mean, look at what's going on in Florida. Like
I
the
think
condo,
Florida's great.
Man, look at the condo, the insurance problem, and then the condo market right now. That's all under. It's not DeSantis' fault with this insurance thing. He inherited that. It's just always been an issue. Right. But it's happening on his watch. And then you got this condo thing. Like the condo market is almost. It's like it's eviscerated right now. It's like the perfect storm was kind of brewing. Meanwhile, DeSantis was trying to run for president when he really should have been focused on Florida. To your point earlier, he's young. Make sure Florida's good. Leave Trump alone. And then, you're looking down the road. You know what I mean? 2028, 32, whatever.
He could be a senator. Listen, you could slide right into you could be a senator for a few years, get to know how Washington works. You could become president. You could have. I mean, there's a tons of things that he could have done.
But he screwed himself. He screwed himself. And I mean, he just has a terrible personality. His wife could run.
Right.
She's great personality. She seems very smart. She could run. But I don't think you wouldn't consider them MAGA, right? They're just Republicans. I
just think they're just Republicans.
Yeah, they're just Republicans. So
I don't even think that DeSantis likes Trump.
No, they don't, especially now. Yeah. And then he had his elevator boots on. Did you see that? Oh, Kobe, tell me you saw that. They were saying that DeSantis boots were elevator boots. He's not really as tall as you say. There was like a big thing about that. Bro, I was just like, he got.
Listen, I'm borderline on getting some.
You don't need none, man. You good,
I know,
man.
But I hear you. I'm this close. And you know what's funny is people in the comment section and will send emails to me with like TikTok links and stuff and links to like, you can buy these shoes right here. They're only this much. They give you 3 inch, like, sneakers and everything. And I'm just like,
well, that's going back to that red pill stuff. I've seen guys in the manosphere, they talk about that because they're like, well, women like taller men, so you got to get taller. There's a procedure to get taller.
Of course I know.
But bro, that's torture. They break your legs and put those rods in your legs and then they stretch you. Anyway, there's dudes talking about the shoes. There are guys like, yeah, get the shoes. Some guys like, yeah, you'd be surprised those couple inches or whatever. It makes a difference when you're out here trying to source women. I tell guys, don't do that. If I'm you, if someone's going to send you money to wear their product, to wear their shoes, then I would say, okay, I ain't mad at you for that.
They should.
But if you're buying it yourself, don't do it. You don't need to, bro.
I don't need to now.
You a G. You a G. You never needed to. You a G. You don't need that shit, bro. But so what's going on politically right now in America is crazy. You're right. It used to be that Republicans and Democrats could go to the bar. They would go to barbecues together. They play softball and all that. They work together. But now families are ripped over it. The MAGA stuff especially. Families are like ripped apart over it. And now America is at a point where people are talking about, it's going to be a civil war. No, it's not. People. No.
What do you think's going to happen?
Bad America. No.
What do you think's going to happen then?
And here's the thing.
Bro, I don't think it's going to be trying to kill
Trump. That's all it is. And those are weirdos. Those are MAGA weirdos coming out of the woodwork trying to shoot this dude. They're weirdos in general and people from the far right trying to end this dude.
How do you get to that point? How do you get to the point where you think the best way to solve this problem is to take a rifle? Or not even right. Well, that guy, I think he had an AK.
Yeah, an AK with a scope on it.
Yeah, they keep calling it an AK style, but I don't know. Somebody else, now they're just saying AK.
It's like they'll say AR platform, AK style, whatever.
So he's got an AK. He's got...
With a scope.
Here's the thing, too. He has an AK. He's also got like a backpack, and it looked like it looked like 2 backpacks, right? One's a backpack, and one looked like almost like a laptop case that you could maybe throw over your head. So you have a front and a back, and he had ceramic tile in it, which of course would stop a bullet. So theoretically, whatever, you could. I'm not saying everything. I don't know that it's going to stop an AK-47, but it's probably going to stop a 9mm from a hand from being at 400 yards. So the point is that he's thinking he may survive this. That's what's killing me. You're not surviving this.
And early reports said he had a GoPro.
Oh, yeah, he did it, yeah.
He had a GoPro. So
he's going to put it on YouTube.
Weirdo guy. 100% weirdo dude. We understand that. A fringe guy, and here's the thing, too.
But his neighbors are all saying he was a nice guy. He seemed like a nice guy.
How well do you really know your neighbors these days? People don't get together like they used to, right? And his neighbors from where? Hawaii, or his neighbors from North Carolina? Because you see his rap
That's a
sheet.
huge leap.
You see his rap sheet?
Yeah, but it's all for like traffic violence. Listen, here's the thing.
I was going to ask you about that, bro.
If you can't keep your driver, so here's the thing. Like people, oh, it's just driving. Listen, stop. If you can't keep your insurance and your license up, okay, the bare minimum of being a functioning citizen of the United States. I'm not saying you have, health insurance and a home and you own your own home. I'm talking about the bare minimum is a vehicle, your license, and insurance. If you can't keep those things up, you're just not a functioning human being.
Agreed.
Like this guy's not.
He's a weirdo.
Yeah,
He's a weirdo. They say he has a child. I'm curious. I wonder if that's his biological child.
Did you hear what the kid said about him? Mm-mm. He said, "My dad's he said he's a nice guy. He said he's a nice guy. He's not violent. He said, as far as I know, he's never had anything more than a couple traffic tickets. And he said he hates Trump, but he said so does every reasonable person out there."
So
I was like, this kid, like, he's been arrested for what? Multiple. He's also been arrested for
it's something to do with
assault weapon. He had he had a fully automatic assault weapon.
Yeah, full auto, and then he has illegal concealed weapon or something like that. He got arrested for. They were saying a bunch of.
And he barricaded himself inside of his work.
How did he not get any time for any of this? For that stuff? How did he not get any time?
I don't know. What states were these?
North Carolina.
In Florida, he'd still
It's North Carolina.
Yeah, he'd still be doing time in Florida.
North Carolina, the full auto thing, that's a Fed case, ain't it?
You would think that, though, it's what I've come to realize is the feds tend to pick up the ones where if you've had a federal charge and you get caught with a gun, they pick it up. But if you've only been state and you have a state felony and you get caught with a weapon, sometimes that will go state and not federal.
They just leave it in there.
You're right. But here's the problem is that I don't think he was a felon. He just had a concealed weapon. So he wasn't a felon. And he didn't have the license for so some of these are just like, you don't have the proper licensing.
Oh, you don't have the paperwork for it.
Yeah,
you can have it, but you don't have the paperwork for it.
Right, like maybe you get charged with a fine or you can't do that. It's a misdemeanor for the first time, like that kind of stupid stuff. So who knows?
Man, but
he's on the fringes.
He's a weirdo. Yeah, he's on the fringes. Both parties are controlled by the fringes right now.
Right.
The liberals are controlled by the fringes. The Republicans are controlled by their fringes. And it's ridiculous. Think about it. The average American isn't on all this craziness and all this nonsense. The average American wants to know, what are you going to do about inflation? When are we going to get gas prices down?
Right.
How come groceries cost so much? Why is it that mommy and my auntie and all them got it laid off? The average American wants real answers. What's going on at the border? What's going on in Ukraine? What's going on in Gaza? That's what the average American wants to know. The fringes, who gets all the clicks, right? That's all we see is the craziness.
Yeah.
And then you got the AIs feeding you all this stuff, and it's just reinforcing you're crazy, right? So this dude, right, who is...
That's why nobody's watching my channel.
Bro, no one's watching mine either. Don't feel bad. But the thing is, you're not crazy enough. You do some more wild. But this guy, you look at his background, MAGA, Trumper. I don't like Trump because of Ukraine. Allegedly, he tried to join the Foreign Legion to fight in Ukraine. They wouldn't take him. Like, dude's too crazy for us. The Ukrainians got criminals in the streets fighting off the Russians. They were like, nah, we don't want you, bro. Stay over there.
That's insane. Because you think they'd just use them as cannon fodder.
You would think. Like
just put him on the front lines.
Boy, put him in the trenches. Yeah, put him in the trenches, bro. Huh. Like, give him his AK, send him out there. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he's got his own weapons.
He's got his own weapons, bro. Full auto. Send him out there.
Yeah, if he's going to pay for the ticket over here.
They wouldn't take him. So you got this guy goes out to do this, tries to do this horrible thing. Very stupid plan. Thank goodness the Secret Service was on their game.
I mean, you're saying stupid plan, but if that Secret Service agent hadn't been walking a couple holes ahead and hadn't seen him, that stupid plan may have worked. He wasn't going to be that far away from Trump with an AK.
Here's the thing. Even with I guarantee you that weapon wasn't zero to that scope. Guarantee it. He was going to be looking at it at least 200 yards or more with an AK that he thought was probably wasn't zero. This guy doesn't strike me as the type that would take the time to actually zero this weapon.
So you feel comfortable with me firing an AK-47 at you from 200 yards? I'm still not okay with it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's still a bad idea.
I'm okay with you doing. I'm not okay with it with You shouldn't be okay with me firing my M14 at 500 yards at you. You know what I mean? Because I can reach out and touch you. I got skill. But the average American with an AK, I don't want to get at, but I'd rather get at by that guy than someone who knows what he's doing. Patrick Bet-David talked to the Reaper. What's that guy? Nicholas? Someone's a black guy, former Ranger sniper.
Okay.
This dude has a crazy amount of confirmed kills. And they were talking about how everyone is saying it's a conspiracy. They, whoever they are, want Trump. And my argument to that is, if that were the case, Trump would be dead. That guy on that roof, if he had a scope on that rifle, he would have hit him. He had a red dot. He had a modified sight on there. If he had a scope or just plain old iron sights, he probably would have hit him. He fired 8 to 10 rounds and he scored a hit.
I was going to say, he did hit him, but
he scored a hit. So,
and if it weren't for luck, he would have taken to the side of the back of the right head.
So you're telling me that if that was a hit, there was only one team? Bro, there would have been at least 3 teams there.
No, I think he was a lone wolf. Just some weirdo lone wolf.
We think that, but the rest, so many people like, oh, you know.
I know, but you can't. These people are so fucking nuts, bro.
What do they
think everything's a conspiracy. Everything. I'm not saying the kid wasn't. He wasn't influenced by the media. He wasn't influenced by all of these things. Of course,
not just media, AI driven media.
Right? Yeah. There's an agenda that's being pushed on him and thousands of other people just like him.
Millions.
But the point is that I don't think it was a conspiracy. I don't think there was a second on the water tower and this and that because if there was, then Trump's be dead.
He wouldn't have survived.
Right.
And the same thing here. If this guy knew what he was doing, I'm not gonna sit here on this podcast and tell you how to do it. Just understand there's a way to do it.
I think personally, had the agent not seen him, I think at the very least it may have been a repeat. Maybe he would have struck him, maybe he would have missed. But the fact is, I think he would have had him in his sights and unloaded. Whether he would have hit him or not, well, we don't know that. But I'm saying he would have been close enough to fire at him, and that's frightening. And the other thing is, look, an AK, a 7.62 round, you don't want to get hit by a 7.6.
Nah, yeah, you don't want 7.62 will tear you up. But here's the thing: I don't think that guy had the set. I don't think he took the time. You can zero.
He did have the gun.
I mean, it's America. Anyone get that, bro? I can
give me the gun. He got close. I wouldn't even know how to get close to Trump. I think he was in he was in a position to get, that's pretty amazing to me.
Trump needs to come off these golf courses, and Trump needs to come off of his golf courses.
Yeah, he needs to stop thinking he's invincible.
That's one of the things that people point to Trump, because he likes to, he makes money whenever he goes to play golf. That's why he plays so much golf, because he gets to charge the government for all this stuff, because he's on his course and he got to pay for all this extra stuff. So, all right, cool. You making your money.
Nice.
Play golf on somebody else's golf course, bro. Because if people know you play golf a lot and you're going to play on one of these 3 or 5 golf courses, all they got to do is wait for you.
Right.
Like this dude did.
Well, what's funny is, did you see the press conference where I think it was the chief of police, where he was saying, well, it might have been the Secret Service or the FBI, whatever. It's one of these guys that was doing the press conference where he was like, listen, he's like, the entire area is surrounded by shrubs. We do not have the manpower. He's like, he was just saying, he all but said, it's the perfect spot to, there's coverage. There's a significant amount of coverage, and we don't have the manpower because he's not president. So we only have so many people, so much money. He's like, it's a hard spot to cover. So I was thinking to myself, he's practically saying, if anybody else that's interested, that's where you need to go.
Well, that's why I'm not even going to mention the steps. If this dude was a serious shooter and this dude knew anything about hunting people, he would have got some rounds off, and even if he missed, you wouldn't have known. I mean, just one of those kind. He could have got some rounds off and got out of there.
The other thing is the guy they said you could see the barrel. You don't get right up to the window. You stay back farther from the window. You know what I'm saying? You don't hang out the window with your gun. You stay way back.
You give somebody a weapon, a rifle, and say, I want you to shoot at that target that's 200, 300 yards away. They're going to push that rifle as close to that target as they possibly can. Right. So because they're not trained, they don't think. Right. America doesn't think anymore. And that's Another big problem with this country. So I know we wanted to talk about the Civil War thing. Like this guy, right? The other weirdo that was shooting. These guys, people see that like, see, it's going to be a civil war. It's not going to be a civil war. Like, who are the factions? Where are the battle lines? Like, what American is willing to walk outside and pop their neighbor across the street, like right in the face? Americans, the average American ain't going to do that. Now, could there be a revolution? Yes, I could see that.
But it doesn't have to be a revolution.
It may or may not, but I could definitely see a financial revolution here. I can, we don't have a middle class anymore. Let's just keep it 100. America does not, either you have it today or you don't. There is no middle class anymore, bro. You know better than I do, man. Like you remember you can have yourself, what, $60,000 house. You can have 2 kids, work at the factory, wife stays at home.
That's not happening. Both parties have to work. Both parents are working now to try and raise a couple kids, and they're barely getting by. Like most people do not have the savings to survive, being laid off for even a month or two.
Bro, most Americans can't afford unexpected cost of $500.
Right.
That's most Americans.
That's nuts.
That house is $415,000 now. Yeah. As opposed to $60,000 back in the 80s. Shit, you ain't got to go that far. In the 90s. In Cincinnati or some houses like that.
Whenever I tell people like, oh yeah, we used to buy houses for fixer-uppers for $50,000, they'd be like, $50,000? Was there even a house there? Like, what are you talking? Like, no, this was a house where they could basically live in the house. It just was a shithole, but it was functioning. Like everything worked.
Fixer-uppers just get in there and fix one room at a time. Yeah. That's what people used to do.
Yeah, you could buy $100,000, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath concrete block for $100,000 that needed work. Like, you're not buying a lot for $100,000.
Like, bro, so I don't believe there's going to be a civil war. Whenever I think civil war, I'm like, okay, what factions? Who's fighting who?
Did you see the movie?
No, I'm not going to see that movie. It's a silly-ass movie. I'm not going to see that.
Silly. It was a good movie.
No, the premise is bad.
Well, the premise is that there is no premise, by the way. There's no you don't know who's like left and who's right. It's just like
it's just a bunch of people fighting for what? You don't even know.
And they eventually, it is great when they go into Washington. It's worth watching. Listen, they spent the budget on the last 15 minutes. The last 15 minutes of that movie is pretty good. Yeah. It's great to see, you get to see some.
Man, how long was the movie? Like 2 hours?
No, it's like an hour and a half, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Man, I'm going to watch this movie, bro. I swear to you, Matt, I swear to you, bro.
Listen, the nice thing is that when you watch it, you're like, is that supposed to be Trump? No. Is that supposed to be no? So they don't really pick a side. You're not really even sure. Even when the fighting's going on, you're really not sure, like, are these the people in control or is this the U.S. military? Like, interesting. It's still interesting to watch. I would have preferred had they really taken a side. Had they really said, hey, let's say that the Democrats are in charge of the country and the Republicans, a bunch of states get together and then they actually have, like, with the National Guards in those states get together. Like, I would have liked to have seen a realistic rift and a battle. That would have been better. Instead, I spent half the movie going, are they supposed to be there? And it wasn't until later that I read some reviews and watched a YouTube thing where the guy talked about how the director had said, I specifically didn't make any one side Republican or Democrat. And the 2 states that are succeeding from the Union and
California and Texas, right?
Which would never see eye to eye, right? Which was great because once again, you don't know,
right?
What is this? Why are they? Anyway, it was. If you look at it like that, it was interesting.
I would say this, but even to my point, at least in that movie, there were factions. You didn't know quite who, but there were factions. There were factions. There are no factions. I mean, when you had your guy on here and he was talking about the military, and he was talking about how the military is more conservative. That's not true, right? And this is coming from a vet. That's not true. So when you look at and think about it, who makes up the military, right? Most conservatives come from the suburbs, and they're great neighborhoods. They got great education. Bro, I ain't come from there. Like most people.
I was going to say most of the military, isn't most of it African American and Hispanic?
Well, it's a good chunk. I mean, it's even. I think it's pretty much even. But lower income. When you think of the class war, right? The upper classes are going to be those guys who go to college and they become officers, which is the minority. The vast majority of the others are the guys who don't have money.
Right.
Right. So, and they tend to skew liberal, at least growing up. They'll grow up liberal. So they're in there now, they're training, they're doing their thing. I remember when the OJ thing happened and the LA riots broke out. I was in the Army and we were in the field. We were doing some training. They brought us out the field. And they were like, you guys on alert. We were paratroopers. So they were like getting the airborne guys. They were telling us we were going on alert. And we didn't know. We didn't know what was going on. Like, ain't no real hot spots going on right now. I wonder what's going on. They were considering dropping the 82nd Airborne Division into California, into LA during the riots. And the Pentagon was like, absolutely not. We're not going to, no. We're not going to drop federal troops, drop paratroopers into LA. Have you lost your mind? That's going to be ugly. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say that you're not police officers. You're not trained to like it's.
I know,
when you give a hammer to someone, everything starts to look like a nail,
man,
right?
That's it, so, bro. And we were like, gigantic.
They would have
hammers.
They would have stopped the writing.
Oh, it'd have been over.
But it would have been a bloodbath.
It'd have been ugly. So no, that's not gonna happen. The military is like your man pointed this out. Those of us who do serve, it's all about the Constitution, man. Like we take that oath. To support and defend the Constitution. We understand that. That's what we do. It's going to be hard to get American soldiers to fight Americans. It's just going to be hard to do it. It won't be so hard to fight guys who have disavowed the country and they're hurting us. We'll go after them, but that's what the cops are for, right? And then if the cops can't handle it, that's what the National Guard is for. But you don't want to use federal troops. So a lot of people say, "Oh, the military is pro-Trump." No,
or predominantly conservative.
They might even be conservative, but they are pro-Constitution. And he was right about that. When I was like, yeah, he's right about that. Like, soldiers are all about the Constitution. The officers are about the Constitution. No one's going to take an illegal order and do some shit just because that president or that senator or that person wants to do. I ain't doing that shit. So okay, fine. Military is sitting out of it. So who's going to fight? So I'm like, nah, I don't see a civil war. I don't. And most people, when I hear civil war, it's like, are we talking a race war? Like, what are we talking about here? Who's going to fight with who?
Here's one of the top comments from the Civil War videos. They said, a civil war is you versus me, but they're thinking this could be more so a revolutionary war, we the people versus the establishment.
That part right there. That's it. I can see a revolution, not a civil war. And I can see that being along, the have and have nots. I can see that. Now, would that be violent? Would that be a shooting thing? It could be, hey, we're all not going to work. We're all going to sit down. Remember Occupy Wall Street? It could be something like that on a, massive scale. Where, look at, like right now, UPS is threatening to go on strike. And I guess management UPS is like, go. Like, you know what I mean? You look at how there's been this massive assault on unions. I've, union guy myself, massive assault on unions. Right. And then think about that. As the unions have gone away, men have gone more to the right. Remember, because when we were coming up, all the factories and stuff like that, union shops, they all voted Democrat. They were all liberal. Mm-hmm. Now that the unions are gone, the home is being destroyed. There's no more nuclear family. Guys are going conservative because they're like, we got to do something, and no one's listening to them. So I can see a revolution. I can absolutely see that some sort of revolt, maybe, or some sort of thing where people are like, no one can pay their car note, right? The average car note is around $800, I think, today. The average rent is about $2,000 a month here in Tampa. What's the average house note today? About $3,000?
Probably.
$3,000?
Probably up there. Probably close to rent or higher than. It's funny because it's actually, when I was growing up, the average mortgage was about 20% less than rent.
Right.
Now it's about 20% more.
Right.
And that doesn't make sense. No sense.
That math don't math. Right. So Americans are upset. Americans are frustrated. Americans have never worked harder than they work today. When you look at Americans back in the 70s, my mom and dad never worked hard, but they didn't have 2.5 jobs.
Yeah.
It was overtime was working hard. Now you got to have 2 jobs and a side hustle. And that's not enough. You still going to get your car repossessed. You still might get kicked out your apartment. I see families coming together to live in homes. Americans are frustrated. They're like, bro, and they're seeing the code. And then you throw into that, everyone's looking at their Instagram feed and you got these rich People almost cursed. You got these rich people on their private jets and in their Bugattis and stuff like that, getting all this bread, even though it's fake. But they're looking at it like,
yeah. It's still disheartening.
hey, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
I can't even pay for my phone. So I think that we're headed to that. And I think we're going to get there over the next 4 years. I think whoever wins this election, to your point, doesn't matter, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. The next 4 years are going to be really hard for America, really hard for Americans. This shit ain't getting easier.
Listen, in some ways, it might be good for the Republican Party if they don't win.
It'll be great for the Republican Party if they don't win.
Because then during that, for the next 4 years, everybody's going to blame the establishment. Doesn't matter who. Then it's no matter. It's like, my God, you voted this woman into power and she has destroyed this country. The truth is, it didn't really matter who was there. It's going off the cliff.
Same thing for Donald Trump. If Trump gets in office, they're like, he's going to save everything.
Yeah,
no, he's not. He doesn't even have a plan. And that's the thing. We're not even talking about, okay, does Kamala Harris and Donald Trump even understand what they're facing? I'm not sure that they do.
Right.
I'm not sure. And we don't know, and we won't know because they can't have a regular debate where we can talk about the issues. They won't talk about nothing. So Americans are in the dark. And who is going to pay? Who is going to suffer the most? Those people at the bottom. And those people at the bottom, it's already happening, bro. They're already giving up. Right?
You know what's funny is I had a friend mention this the other day. He sent me I think he sent me something on Social Security, becoming insolvent in however many years it is, 10 years, 15 years or something like that, basically when I retire. And he's basically saying it's gone at that point. And he's like, everybody keeps talking about Social Security running out. And they go, you ever notice that nobody ever talks about welfare running out? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, you're telling me that the people that have been paying into Social Security for 40 or 50 years they're going to tell them that you don't get your Social Security. But if you've been on welfare for 40 years, they're just going to keep cutting you a check.
Yeah, they're going to tell you got to wait till you're 75. And all the welfare people are going to keep getting that money. That is going to be the revolt. I think you're going to have a revolution. And you're going to have folks, again, I don't know how it's going to look. I don't think it's going to be violent, at least not, not like the French Revolution violent. Guillotines ain't coming out, but people are gonna.
French know how to do it. French do it right.
Boy, they do it right. But I think people are going to finally start thinking because they're not going to have any choice. When you're kicked out of your apartment, everyone's credit is shit. Like the housing market, it's gonna burst, right? Not burst, it's going to correct, right? Who's making money right now? Housing Wall Street is just still killing it. Wall Street's killing it right now, bro. Like, damn, how?
Well, the market's down, but they're still making,
they're still killing it. It's not, it didn't do this. It's just correcting down. And then people are, with this technology, people are seeing the lies in 1080p. When the numbers come out, we had this many jobs in August, or we had this many jobs, and then the revisions come out. And then all those jobs, all those gains were revised away. And people like, wait, those numbers, we were told these numbers, like, no, that was an estimate. Here are the real numbers. And we're down. We're down millions of jobs.
Yeah. And what's so funny is that they're adjusting what the loss of a job is. Like, they're saying, like, if you're working part-time, then that's a job. Like, we gain jobs. Yeah, but they're all part-time jobs. Well, 4 years ago, it had to be a full-time job to be counted. Now it's a part-time job. And why are they moving to part-time jobs? Because if I go to part-time, I don't have to pay all of these other benefits. So now people that should have got a full-time job, you now get a part-time job. You get a 30-hour week or 20 as opposed to 40.
All that frustration, no overtime, by the way.
That's manipulated. That's complete manipulation of everything, and you're still losing jobs.
You had a job full-time working for FedEx. You got laid off, but you still drive Uber, which you've been driving for Uber the whole time you was with FedEx. But now it's just that you're still employed. You got Uber. You still got that job. Like, no, I lost the ability to pay for everything. And Americans are like, okay, now America's going to be forced to think. And we got this technology. We're sharing this information. Like this conversation here, it's not going to be a shooting thing, but, people are going to have to figure out something. What is it going to look like? I'm not sure. Maybe, and what are the politicians going to want to do? They're going to want to cut some checks, but we can't. You can't. You no more. You
The money's becoming. It's not worthless, but it's damn near getting there.
Damn it! No more deficit spending. What did Trump spend doing the whole pandemic things? $400 billion or something like that. Then Biden came in and did the same thing, and he spent about the same or a little bit more. That's insane. What was it? Trillion. I forget which one, but they deficit spent so much money. And then if Kamala Harris gets in the office, she's going to do the same thing. That whole we're going to give $50,000 tax credits to brand new businesses, startups. We're going to give $20,000 or $25,000.
I mean, these are great things to say, but the possibility of it actually going through doesn't always work out.
I think they will do it. That's all deficit spending. Like, okay, how are you going to offset this? How are we going to pay for this? Right? Trump sees that that's working. So what Trump says, okay, we're not going to tax your overtime. We're going to do this. They're all, like you said, they're all
scrambling.
They're scrambling to give away money that they can't give away. Meanwhile, you look at Jerome Powell and the Fed trying to figure this out. Oh, it's going to be a soft landing. My ass. This thing is crashing, bro.
Well, what's really funny is 5 years from now, when they've really, really perfected stuff like Uber. And so you've got all of Tesla's cars are driving themselves, so you don't have any more Uber drivers, and you don't have any more. And then they, 5 years from now, they come out with these robots, and let's say it takes another 5 years after they come out with a robot, with androids, whatever you want to call them. These things. So let's say 5 years so let's say 10 years from now, when you can basically buy a robot for $100,000 to finance it, and it builds your house for you. And like, what happens when all those jobs get outsourced to robots? And there's just no jobs.
That's what Andrew Yang was talking about, that universal basic income thing. That's where UBI came from, because Andrew Yang understood. But they understand, like, technology has gotten to a point where things are changing faster than we're prepared for it.
You need a good plague at that point. You need to basically come up with some kind of plague to just kind of
or a war, a real war, a proper war.
Yeah.
That's why, I look at people who want your conspiracy. Here's your conspiracy. World War III is needed so America can wipe its debt clean. China holds how much of our debt?
I don't know, a chunk.
A shit ton. We need China to make a move on Taiwan so we can wipe out China and wipe out our debt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Chinese were probably thinking, we could probably do this, but they see what we're doing to the Russians and Ukraine and like, we don't want to deal with them American weapons because they shit work. The Chinese weapons, the North Korean weapons, and the Russian weapons don't work all the time. They just got so many of them.
No, I agree. I mean, and they're, I love it when they say, like, they've got 3 aircraft carriers. Like, what are you talking about, bro? They got three boats that they're calling aircraft carriers. They can't even launch off them. They damn sure can't land on them.
And what they call them, heavy cruisers. The one that they had that doesn't even work, the Ukrainians blew one of them up. I mean, it's
a joke. Like, how fucking hard it is to run an aircraft carrier, and we've got not 100 years. Wait, no, we got 80 years of experience on 80, 90. No, 80 to 90 years worth of experience running aircraft carriers. You guys just came up with a couple of them 5 years ago.
Yeah, and they're still using coal. They're like shoving coal into the burners or whatever. Like, bro, ours are nukes. Like, we run on nuclear power.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah, but
and they don't have the range. No. They don't have like
they don't have the training.
Yeah, their whole military is geared towards trying to take over Taiwan, and they're terrified to do that.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, the Chinese don't really have a deep. What do they call it? A deep blue ocean, a blue ocean navy.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If you can get China to make a move on Taiwan, America goes to war. That drags in Japan, South Korea, Australia, right? And
North Korea.
Yeah, North Korea. And then you look at Europe, now NATO has an excuse to go after Putin. They want to make a move on Putin real bad. I think they're going to do it regardless. And then the Middle East, there you go, World War III. And at the end of that, America gets to wipe all its debt clean. And we start from scratch because I don't see any other way out. You can't. So
you're saying we need a war. So we need a war.
I say a war makes sense, and not a civil war, like a real good old-fashioned global conflict is going to help us wipe the...
Not a regional conflict. You need a global.
Everybody involved. And,
without nukes.
Without, they might use a couple, like, low-yield things out there. The Russians might. The Chinese, I doubt if they would. But, yeah. And then, or Israel might drop something if the Iranians get too freaky out there. So But I think it's going to be the Middle East, it's going to be Europe, and then there'll be like the Asian theater, just like World War II.
So one of my questions was going to be, what do you think like the government or like the decision makers of the country can do to fix the problem? Or what is the way out?
I feel like you just said it.
I feel like that was
That was the answer to.
Yeah. So I guess maybe my follow-up question is, what can Americans or individuals do, in your opinion, to get through these times or excel? Or
Americans need to get rid of professional politicians.
Yeah, that's yeah.
All Americans need to vote. The vast majority of Americans still don't participate in the process. All Americans need to vote. You know, damn that nonsense of women shouldn't vote because they're not registered for the draft and all that, man. Later for all that bullshit. Everyone should participate in the process, and we need term limits in Congress, and we need to do away with the dark money. Say maybe 3 years as a senator, that would give you almost 20 years. That's 18. But it's hard to win 3 consecutive races. But 3 years as a senator, 3 terms, and then 5 terms in the House.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, nobody should be doing it for 20 years. Like, it's outrageous.
It'd be so hard to do, but it gets you 18.
Yeah.
You know, I think 2 terms, like 12 years. I guess you could do whatever we come up with. We should come up with something.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 terms, 3 max.
Yeah, 2, 3. Yeah, I get it. No, that's what I'm saying. Like 20. That's what I'm saying is like these guys that have been up there for 30 years. It's like
30, maybe 50
yeah,
years,
what are you talking?
bro.
Like what are you?
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah.
So something like that. So I would say three terms in the Senate. That's 18 years, but that gives you some continuity, and it's hard to win Senate races. They cost more. And 5 terms in the House, that gives you 10 years. And then no more dark money. Like overturn, make all of the corporations and all the rich people have to show the money they're shoving into these companies, these things. So I think if we did those things and Americans got more involved in the process, I think that's a step in the right direction. And then Americans got to think, y'all got to get smart, man. Quit being stupid. And it's not that Americans are dumb on purpose. We're just so bogged down working. Everyone's working so hard, bro.
I think Americans are pretty stupid. I mean, do you understand that these politicians get up there and they promise ridiculous things that they can't possibly pull off and they can't possibly provide, and people say, well, I'm going to vote for him because he said he's going to do this, and it's like, what are you talking about?
Well,
that's never going to happen.
If I ever ran for office, I was like, vote for DL Sank. He's only going to stick the tip in. That'd be my whole platform. If you believe that, I got a bridge I want to send you over here in St. Pete. So it's just, but you're right though. People believe what they want to believe. Come away from the tribal bullshit, man. You can be a Trumper and you can also have things you don't like about Trump. That's a thing, right? I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan, man. I love my Bengals. We lost a close one yesterday. Goddamn, bro. We lost a close one to Kansas City. But there are things about the Cincinnati Bengals I can't stand. I got to tell everybody who will listen, right? I voted for Obama twice. It's a bunch of things that a bunch of problems I got with Barack Obama. And I'll tell anybody who will listen. But but you don't want to be that person who is so locked in on one person or one thing that you can't see the rest. You got to be able to see it all. Because if you're locked in on that, people are going to surely take advantage of you. So you want to be able to see it all, right? Donald Trump doesn't care about poor people, y'all. I'm just letting you know. He doesn't care. If you can do something for him, then he's going to rock with you. But if you can't do anything for him, and if you're poor, what can you do for a wealthy man if you're poor? Nothing. He already got your vote. So you got to think it through. That's the one thing I learned about politics. Politicians didn't care about me when I was poor. They didn't give a shit about me when I was poor and my problems in Cincinnati, Ohio. Even when I would talk to them, they would talk to you for maybe 45 seconds. But damn, I spent 8 months working on your campaign and phone banking and walking the precincts and volunteering my time. Yeah, thanks.
Do you think Kamala Harris cares about the poor?
No. Okay. She's rich. Why would she give a shit about the poor people? But the Democrats, they're going to give better game to the poor.
I disagree, but
I mean, game as far as they're going to give them the game that they want to hear. Like,
you mean they're going to placate? They're going to tell them more that they're going to do it.
Yeah, she got game for the poor. Unlike the Republicans, the Republicans are going to help the corporations.
Well, I think the Republicans say you need to be rich, you need to make money, start working, and I'll get to middle class, and I'll care about you.
Yeah, what middle class? It's gone. I'd love to get the middle class if y'all didn't fucking
There's a little
obliterate
middle
that
class.
shit. No.
There's a little. There's a
Either
thin.
you
There's a
have it or
layer there still.
You have it or you don't today, brother. You have it or you don't. There's no middle class anymore. It just doesn't exist. I'm sorry. I guess I'm the bad guy for telling you it's gone. I saw the middle class in the 70s and 80s. You saw the middle class in the 70s and 80s. It's gone now.
I feel like I'm living in a middle class neighborhood.
Bro, how many of your neighbors out here are just fucking financed up to their fucking eyebrows?
But I also think that both my neighbors next door, the husband and the wife work.
Of course they do.
Now the people next door, they don't. Well, I think the wife died, but the husband is they're just retired. No, they're just retired. But I mean, most of the people around here, I think both couples were, or both couples. The husband and the wife both work.
But think about it, that's the American way now, and you gotta have good jobs.
So I mean, to me, both of them working like that's the new middle class. So it takes both of them to work to pay their bills. But you're right. I don't know what their finances is. They one of them loses their jobs for a month and it's over. They go down like the Titanic.
Somebody gets sick, it's over. Someone gets into a crash, it's over. You know, what's the average? What's the median household income these days? I want to say the median household income is. For the nation, just under 100,000.
Okay,
it is 80,000 in 2020.
I was gonna say 80, and I thought no, it's either 80 or 120. It's
was
around
just under 100 grand. Yeah, that's household, bro. That's two grown-ups working. That's your middle class. Come on, man.
That's rough. Well, that would be middle class if the average home wasn't 300.
That's
some
my
odd.
point.
What's the average home?
415,000. Check my math.
Quarter one of 2024, 412,000.
412, geez, 400,000 on an 80,000.
It's impossible. You the math, you the numbers guy.
You know what's so funny about this?
How many people I got to create to get into that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get you in it.
No,
but you know what's so funny about that is that when I was doing mortgages, your debt to income could not be over 36 to 38%, depending on what program. 36, 38. Now, if it was FHA, it could be up to like I want to say 43%, maybe 47. Let's say 40. I think it was 47.
Almost 50% then.
Right.
If it's him.
So it came out for a conventional loan, though, it was 36, right? 36, 38. You know what it is now? 55. Damn. They'll let you go up to 55. And I think FHA, they let you go up to something like 60. You're telling me that you're okay with me spending every single... Because keep in mind, too, that's gross. That's not...
Right, that's not net. That's gross.
That's gross. So you're telling me that my taxes are 30 to 40% of my... So if it's 40% of my wages, well, let's say if you're in that bracket, you're probably at 30. So let's say 30% of your wages go... So that means you make 100,000, you're getting 70. You're telling me you're okay with me spending 55,000 of that 70 or 60 to 65 of the $1,000 of the $70,000... You're okay with me spending every fucking dime on my bills? That's acceptable. And they raised it to get people to borrow more, to buy more. It's like, are you like, those are the kinds of decisions that they make that they're thinking, well, yeah, they can buy more. You're making that decision for you as a politician, not for these people. These people can't, if you're getting them into massive amounts of debt that they can't afford. Like that's horrific. It's a bad decision.
I'm making that decision as a lobbyist, and I'm paying the politician to serve this crap up.
That's another thing they ought to get rid of, lobbyists.
Yeah.
Right? Really, they ought to go French Revolution on the lobbyists, right? Like you take enough of them out front of the White House, and you start Chicago. You know, you send a message.
That's what Theo Vaughn talked to Trump about for a little bit.
Oh, really?
About lobbyists, and that was one of his.
I like. Trump said to Elon Musk, he said he wanted to give him an appointment in one of the cabinet to go through and cut government waste.
So this is all a puppet show, bro.
That's great,
bro.
I know you're saying it's soundbite, but it's good stuff.
It's all a fucking puppet show, bro. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, roll back the laws regarding lobbyists to the laws that were on the books in the 70s and 80s. You know, roll back the taxes on the corporate tax rate to where it was back in the 70s and 80s. You know, you have to empower. You need a middle class. In order, like, I don't care how many widgets you can make, but if your employees can't afford to buy your product, you're not, especially in America, who else is going to buy it? This is the wealthiest nation on the planet, bar none.
Know, another thing they ought to do. Think about this. Like, first of all, you know that our electrical grid is like held together with like bubble gum and spit,
and
right?
Band-Aids,
Like
yeah.
Band-Aid. Like it's like it's
Waiting to
borderline-
collapse.
Waiting to collapse. And keep in mind that a few years ago, like Texas went out for days. Like
Which-
a good chunk of Texas went out. They could barely put it together.
There was a cyber attack here in Tampa, not that a couple years ago, where they made the grid go down to Hillsborough County.
I was probably locked up. Anyway, the point is that the funny thing is so one of the things they always talk about is if there's a war, one of the things that our enemies will do is go for the power grid. The power grid goes out. There's such a thing as having a knocking out enough of it, and then the whole thing collapses. You don't have to knock out much of it for the entire system to go down because it gets overloaded and all the transformers blow. And then it's basically once it's down, it would take like a decade to get it back together. And part of the reason it would take that long is because all of our transformers are built in China. Not some of them, all of them. There are no American manufacturers. So you'd have to re-put together that technology, that manufacturing in the United States without power, and put together, and then you have to put it together and start building transformers. And it takes like 6 months to build one transformer. So that's with right now when they order them, because there's not that many factories, because these things last forever. So they order them constantly. But the fact is that thousands of them would go down, and it would take 10 years of multiple factories being built to build transformers to try and put it back together. Can you imagine? And yet some politician thought it was a good idea to let these companies outsource building transformers to somebody who is potentially our enemy.
Bro, I'll raise you. Right after, not long after 9/11, they wanted to outsource the security of the ports to Middle Eastern companies. Right after 9/11, like, oh, so we don't have to worry about learning how to fly planes and all that. We can just walk onto these boats, put whatever we want on these boats, and have it do whatever it's gonna do, bro. America, greed in America.
You just said they were smart. You just said Americans were pretty smart.
They can be if they want to be. You know, Americans choose to watch the whatever TikTok craze is going on right now. Americans choose to not watch a documentary on World War II or 9/11, a real documentary. They choose to believe in these conspiracies. They choose to do that. Put a little bit of, if you want to go down a rabbit hole on something, you want to do some conspiracy stuff, fine. But go and find some other stuff too and try to balance it out. You know, we got people who believe the earth is flat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Look, okay, if someone believes that, that's fine. But the fact that you're so comfortable with it that you say it out loud,
proudly,
like that, and you'll argue it, and you sound so stupid.
Like, how does, bro? It just so. If we have a movement to, there used to be a time when Americans read the newspaper every day, right? We remember that growing up.
Right.
You get the 3 newspapers would come out the morning.
You walk in and my dad, the newspaper was huge,
bro.
It was massive.
Just going through the paper, like, you had cartoons in there. Give me the comic strips.
You walk in and go, Dad, and he'd grab part of the newspaper and bend it down. What? With a cigarette and a call. What? Ask your mother.
Right.
And he'd read it. And
the nightly news, came on, and they only had so much time.
6 o'clock and 10 o'clock.
And they weren't trying to, like, get you to click. It wasn't clickbait. It was news.
Yeah.
It was no. Yeah, it had
I talked about this the other day.
Yeah, it had a liberal slant to it, but it was news. It wasn't like today. Like, you look at MSNBC, and then you look at CNN, you look at Fox, and you look at News Nation, and all these other. It's like, bro, where do you go? I gotta watch Al Jazeera if I'm trying to find out what's really going on.
Funny. I have to watch. I watched like there's the Indian or is that's not Al Jazeera? No, is it Al Jazeera?
Al Jazeera is like for the Middle East and all that kind of stuff. That's Al Jazeera. That's the one I watch.
Yeah, that or like the BBC or something like.
And BBC is really liberal.
Yeah, you have to watch basically. You still end up getting more information. Listen, I'm watching something on the Trump the other day, and they were saying that they said that a man got too close to Trump and ended up injuring him. That's how they described a month ago. He got too close to Trump and injured him.
Oh, my bad. I made you trip on my 556.
What? Like, oh my God. Like, I don't even understand how you could be. If I was the news anchor, I'd be like, come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, news organizations used to have to go out there and make sure the story was true. They had to go out
No, they
there,
don't do
but
that.
they don't do that anymore. It's a race just to get the headlines out. Again, Americans got to get smarter.
And now they have all of the U.S. attorney's offices and FBI offices and police departments. They all have their own press conferences. So what they do now is when they release a press release, and I know this because when I would be writing, let's say I was writing your story, I would obviously order a Freedom of Information Act, and I'd get somebody on the street to pull all the any clippings of you, and I would get in articles, and I'd be like, "Oh, I see that you were in like the Tampa Tribune," and I'd read the article, and I'd go, "Oh, there's a press release that was by the FBI from your case," and I'd read it, and I'd go, "You know what it looks like?" And then you'd go, "Oh, you were also in the St. Pete Times," and it's basically that on December 1st, your press release came out. On December 2nd, the Tampa Tribune rewrote it, and the St. Petersburg Times rewrote it, and the Miami Herald rewrote it, but not one person said anything other than what was said on here. Maybe somebody made a phone call and got a quote from someone. And it's like, this is nuts. This is 1,000-page or 1,000 words. This is 900. This is 1,050. This is 950. Like it's almost verbatim. What it looks like is somebody took the press release and dropped it in a chat GPT and said, rewrite this for me. And they rewrote it and spit it back out. That's it.
And now we got clips. Everything's built around clips. I challenge people to don't just look at the clips, man. Go deeper. Like you said about Andrew Tate. Yeah, Andrew Tate could look horrible. Those clips on Joe Rogan using the N-word, I know Joe Rogan. Good guy. When I saw that, I was like, ooh. You know what I mean? That looked hard. And Rogan said it. Like when I saw it, he was talking about it in his latest bit. He did his latest special, which I thought was funny. I made a video about it. I thought it was okay. People came from my neck, bro, because they just don't like Joe Rogan. I'm like, bro, his shit was funny. But anyway, you know what I mean? People clip stuff and make it look a certain way. You got to go back and watch it.
Listen, these two guys, Colby and Luke, his buddy, his
Partner
employee, associate, whatever, subcontracted clips guy. Listen, I can't tell you how many clips I've read. I got guys right now it's got a video that's got like 4 million views or something where they clipped it up. It makes it sound like I'm saying that I'm paying Mexicans $900 to put a roof on. That's not the clip. I'm saying when you go, they're going to charge you whatever, $3,000 to put the roof on. Now I'm thinking I'm buying all the materials. I'm paying you $3,000. I start off by giving you $900, and then of course you pay them in bits of all that's gone. All it says is I give the Mexicans $900 to put on the roof. They clip it up. Like that's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. Now they do that if they can take a story that I've said and say something, turn it into something controversial, they'll do it. You know why? Because if they do the whole clip and it makes sense, it gets 40,000 views. If they do it so that it sounds insane, it gets 4 million views.
So you got to do what you got to do. And here's the thing. That's fine for entertainment.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. But that's fine for entertainment. But you can't do that for news and information. Like there's certain things
I think you're wrong about that. They can. They do it all the time.
But they shouldn't.
They should.
That should be illegal. You know what I mean? For that type of stuff.
You know what it is? It's 1984. It's George Orwell's 1984. Are you have read? Did you read that?
Kind of. I mean, like the whole Big Brother thing, 100%.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm also talking about like Wilson. Wilson's the protagonist in it, right? Wilson works for, I believe, the Ministry of Truth, and what the Ministry of Truth is doing is actively lying to society. He's rewriting articles for the newspaper and blatantly lying to the citizens that are reading it, and he's being told what to say, obviously by the government.
That's China. You don't need the book for that. That's China.
Well, that's like look. Kamala Harris. I know 6 months to about a year ago, Kamala Harris. It came out. They had appointed her the border czar.
Yeah, and the Republicans are saying she was in charge of the border, which isn't true, but she was appointed. They wanted her to look into it and do whatever.
But they're now saying she was never appointed and she was never in charge of it, and she was never told to look into it. I remember watching, it was only like 4 or 5 minutes of this clip of her talking about being appointed and how she was going to go to their, they had asked if she'd been, and she's like, no, I haven't been. And she was a whole little thing. But it was like, now they're saying that never happened. Like, there's all these things that's like,
now, if I wanted to play devil's advocate, you know what I would say to that?
What?
How many clips do we have of Trump saying shit that he said that he didn't say? It was in a debate.
Right.
Hey, you were on Lex Friedman. You said I lost by a whisker. No, I didn't. Oh, I was whatever. I was joking. I didn't mean that. I was being condescending. Nah, bro, we watched it. You said you lost by a whisker. So, and again, to my point, and but
that's the same thing. I'm just using Kamala Harris as a
right.
thing.
But I'm with you.
But they literally will look you in the face, whether it's Trump or it's Harris. They
Biden,
will look
Obama.
you in the face and tell you that you did not see what this did not happen, which I have it on tape. Like, I have it on tape.
Hey, bro,
I can show it to you.
Yeah, you did this. Like, it's right here.
And they're saying no.
It's like when George H.W. Bush, read my lips, no new taxes. And,
right.
He paid for that, but why did he raise taxes? Because it was best for the country. And he did what he felt was best for the country. My problem with today's politician, I'm not quite sure are they doing what's in the best interest of our country? Are they doing what's in the best interest of Americans? I don't believe so anymore.
I don't think so.
I don't believe so. Because I would put it all on Trump, but I'm like, I'm looking at Harris, I'm looking at, Biden, I'm looking at Biden wanted to be president and stay, knowing that this is not good for America, bro. You need to go. Like, you're not here. Nope. And try to, strong arm his way into staying into the White House. No one cares about the country anymore. We just get these terrible choices, and that's where we are right now. And I tell people all the time, man, vote. Just go ahead and vote. Even, I get a lot of Trumpers, the MAGA guys come after me. I'm like, look, bro, I just want you to vote. People are like, well, you are a Harris supporter. Like, I'm not a Harris supporter. I got one of my comments the other day. I'm like, I am not a Harris supporter. I do not support Kamala Harris. But if I'm forced, I got to make a choice here. And from my standpoint, I get to pick solid feces or diarrhea, right? This is what I get to pick. No matter what I choose, I'm stuck with shit. All right. That's how I look at this. And I'm not happy. I'm not proud. I think America's in a bad place. Like, I agree with you. In the next 4 years is going to be horrible. And when it goes bad, people are going to be crying and pointing the other way. I'm like, stop that. Can we stop the boat from fucking sinking? Because if we don't, we're all going to drown. And it's time for America to come together and do some shit. I know I was talking about racism and little race thing here and there and this and that. But you know what? That's America. We're always going to have that. My life today as a black man in America, way better than my great-great-grandfather's experience in this country. Way better. I am descended from slaves. I've seen the pictures. Like, I know what plantations we came from. I've been to the plantations, right? And look at me now. Right now, does that mean I'm going to forget that shit? Does that mean I'm going to give DeSantis a pass when he said slaves did well under slavery and they learned some shit? They said that.
Did DeSantis say that?
Yes.
I've never heard that.
DeSantis said that, yeah, because they learned traits. They learned trades. And I was like, what? Again, I wish he had somebody to bounce that shit off of before you open your mouth. And then what I get frustrated as a black Republican, a real Republican, I get frustrated when the right does shit like this. And it's like, I can't go over there. I can't go over there. I can't come over here now because y'all done said some stupid shit like that. Right? I can't come over here. Like, what are you doing? Or you're mixing it up with the white nationalists, or you mixing it up with the KKK guys. Like, I can't come over here, bro. At least let them dudes say they former KKK. Something like, damn, he still got this sheet. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? I can't. And I think after this cycle, let's say Trump loses, I think what's going to happen is the Republicans are going to get a hold of the crazies and put them back in the fringes where they belong. And they're going to take control of their party. And they're going to come out strong. Like I said, it's going to be bad for the next 4 years. So they'll be able to come out strong, get a real candidate, right? And be able to do some real shit. There's no reason that successful black people shouldn't be more conservative these days. I believe I'm 100% with that. But the reason why we're not over there is because of the racial overtones that are still over there in that party, which is on the far fringes, right? Again, the vast majority of Americans ain't racist like that. You know, when it comes to the political thing, again, I talk to my Republican friends all the time and they agree when cameras are off. They agree. They're like, yeah, man, dude's fucking up. But to your point, it's like it might work to our advantage if he loses White House. White House is, the Democrats hold the White House.
During the like step back and say, hey, run with it, because there's nothing anybody can do. And the worse it goes for them, the easier the Republicans are. That it just always kills me that when there's a financial downturn, the country looks to to conservatives to fix it. And then once it gets fixed and there's an excess of money, they want to run in and have the Democrats run in and spend all the money.
The Republicans have historically always been conservatively, fiscal conservatives, but that's changed. It's
the
now
parties have switched in general. Because,
they're just. Yeah.
I mean, look, after World War I, we were like isolationists, right? And after World War II, we were globalists. But I think at this point, it's better to probably move back to being isolationists, since
can't be an isolationist in a world that's connected by tech. You can't.
To a degree, I'm saying as far as the military is concerned, placing military bases all over the world.
We can't do that.
Spending money with all of these countries, giving away tons of money.
The vast majority of money we spend is on the military. Like $1 trillion a year we spend on our military. Now, I would agree we could take some of that money and do better things with it for America. But as far as pulling our military out,
why don't you pull the military out and stick it all throughout Central America and just take over the entire South American continent and North American continent?
I mean, bro. I ain't. If that's what you want to do, we might as well just take the Middle East where the oil is.
Well, why? We've got a lot of oil, and we can move away from.
Let's get the dinosaurs.
Yeah, but I'm saying no. I'm saying move power plants, solar, and electric vehicles. It'd take a long time to get there. Most people hate the idea of it, but then you don't have to rely on the Middle East at all. And then what do they have? They're back to nothing.
Here's the thing, though. We can't pull our soldiers out.
China doesn't have any oil.
We can't pull our soldiers out.
I don't have oil. Japanese, they would be like, oh my God, could you imagine? What do they have? They'd have to move to solar too.
I mean, you just can't leave people to their own devices, let them do their shit, and then what are we gonna do when they do act up? How are we gonna get to them? You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things.
Well, we can move. America has the ability to move its military like nobody else.
I want my people on your soil. I want my people right there.
Well, you could do a few. You could do a few throughout Europe. A few. You don't have to have 100 bases.
Yeah, I want my people on your soil. But again, this is just me talking. Like, bro, I really believe in taking care of America right now. America right now is in trouble. There's just no other way about it.
Ever see the White Castle? Was it called White Castle? The Man in the White Castle? Man in the
High Tower.
Is it High Tower?
That was the one when the Nazis won and the Japanese won. America
and they
lost
split
World
up
War
America?
II. Yeah.
Oh my God. Horrible ending. But wow. What an amazing series.
What a premise. What a premise.
Yeah. Horrible ending though, because it just doesn't go anywhere. At the very end of the whole thing, it's like, this just doesn't go anywhere.
They write themselves into boxes. That's what that
I know.
is.
It's like, hey, we've got a great premise, but you can't figure out how to write it out. And then it ends up being some science fiction thing that you're like, oh, this just turned
Start with
stupid.
the ending so you got somewhere to go. Start with the ending. Or at least we know we want to end in this vein, and that gives you some place to go.
That's what's great about true crime. I don't have to come up with any of that shit. It already happened. I know how it ends.
Yeah.
Now we just gotta follow the story to the ending, and then that's it. Like it's great because I don't have to come up with an ending. And sometimes with true crime or with real life, you couldn't make the shit up that happens.
Man, Kobe, how do we fix this, bro? How do we fix this, man?
Well, I do have one comment that I think you guys could talk about. And you could say how true it is or how accurate you think it relates. And I know you've heard it. Hard times create strong men create good times, good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Would you agree? And do you think what stage do you think we're at?
I agree 100%. Weak men have created the hard times. That's what we are right now.
I think it's filled with weak men right now.
Weak men have created hard times.
Yeah, and the hard times are coming. Those hard times will create harder men. Because listen, if you've got a soft society and plenty of money, you can afford to be soft. That people get soft. They start getting participation trophies. They start being told that you're okay just the way you are, and everybody loves you, and you're wonderful. It just becomes, you stop raising men. You start raising daughters that are borderline. and guys that are borderline women. I mean, you start just it just becomes
Borderline,
horrific.
they are women. Just ask them.
And then you people become you start actually entertaining the delusions that people have and fostering these delusions instead of slapping them in the face and saying, pull your shit together. You're not a cat. Okay? Like, you don't get to, you're not a furry. So,
Boy, I was man, that furry shit, bro. I never laughed so hard in my life when I first saw that. Like furries. Oh my God, what's wrong with people?
So what happens is because of that, we're now about to have some really fucking hard times. And all those people who want to get hugs, when they start starving and they have no food and they're begging the government and they realize, but why doesn't the government give us anything? Oh, because the economy's collapsing. And even the government can't tax us enough to get enough food to feed your lazy asses.
So here
and you
we
have to
are.
start working. Those people will become tough and they will pull themselves back from the brink, hopefully.
And that's the revolution. Once the government says we don't have anything for you, those people going to grab their guns and go get that food. That's where, so it's not a civil war, it's a revolt. It's like, well, I know where they got that prime rib and I'm finna go get it or nothing. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go get it. We gonna eat tonight because there are more weapons in this country than people. There are more firearms in America than people, right? So that's where I think we're headed. I think it's gonna be, when you can't feed your child, and like you said, hunger, you've been hungry before. I don't know if you've ever really been hungry before. Like hunger, bro, that's the worst feeling. I mean, that is the worst feeling. When you're hungry and you've been hungry for days. You ever been real hungry before?
I mean, yeah, in prison.
That's why I was like,
yeah,
you've been hungry. Yeah. And that's that when the grumbling and then the headaches and like just being weak and then like just, bro, there's nothing like that feeling. It sucks, man. So when people get to that point, your kids are crying because they can't eat. And then folks are like, well, the government said they was going to drop off some, man, fuck that, bro. Give me that thing over there. I'm about to go get something. I'm about to go get it. That's where we're going to have, and then the security guy who's out there trying to defend the restaurant or whatever, how bad does he want to defend the restaurant? It's like, I'm not trying to lay myself down. These people are hungry. They got nothing to lose. There's nothing like going up against someone who has nothing to lose. You see it in their eyes. Like, this dude is about to crash out for real. And why is he crashing out? Because he wants to feed his family. So I think we're going to hit something like that. But yeah, the hard times are definitely here.
Do you think we get to a point where, with the advancements of technology, where people's needs can be met with, there's on TikTok, or, eventually these people are going to have AI sexual things, where it's like these guys that are maybe your lower level male, your lower level human, they can meet their own desires.
Where the incels don't need, where they can actually get a girlfriend a robot.
Do they have to become strong men, or are they just going to become weak men on their devices and just kind of, just because technology has gone so far where their basic needs are met and they're just.
All right, here's your, here's the, rabbit hole take on this, bro. Here's your conspiracy theory. I would say the best way to make strong men through, the cyborg or whatever, the bot, and have your bot tell him to work out, to stop playing video games, to go and be more productive. He'll do it. Right. And at the same time, it's like, bro, did we just replace women? And women been running around talking about men can be replaced.
Well, what about
that's terrible?
The idea that the problem is it's not even that you could say, okay, well, it's social influence. It's actually become biology, right? Like, men aren't producing testosterone.
It's fact.
Men are, like, our testosterone levels have dropped dramatically. We're having less children. Like you can't say, oh, well, it's just we've just got more things and we're becoming better people, or we're becoming more sensitive, or you're changing. Like, listen, we've got another 5 or 6 years of growth in the United States. In other countries, it's already started shrinking. Their civilization, like their countries are shrinking as far as people are concerned.
Developed nations, but the third world is still growing.
Well, the third world, but in general, overpopulation isn't going to be an issue. It's the population in general globally is very soon. It's already basically breaking even. It's going to start shrinking soon.
I can see that.
I mean, people always think, oh, overpopulation, there won't be enough this or won't. No, that's not what's happening at all.
And Kobe, to your point, AI girlfriends are already a thing. Have you looked into that?
Oh, I mean, I've heard about it, and I just know how addictive even just your normal TikTok algorithms are. People are just consuming sound bites and being less critical. It's like, will there be a shift, or will people just continue to just, just consume and sit and just be pushed further to either side of the spectrum just because the AI algorithms are pushing certain narratives? Like, you have to be like, when I consume things knowing like, this is a headline, but I know this could be totally false. This could be totally wrong. I purposely try to follow people on both sides of the spectrum because the same story has two different conclusions on both sides. Like, is the average American, is the average person thinking that way? Or is the average person just, I don't know, sitting? I feel like most young Americans are just sitting around consuming and
playing video games, consuming content, playing video games, not thinking about the future. When I was, as far back as I can remember, I wanted to be a paratrooper. We talked about that on when I was first here. I wanted to jump out of airplanes. That's what I wanted to do. Now, these kids, they want to be influencers. That's it. That's their goal. I mean, damn.
Could you imagine your full-time job being YouTube? How horrible would that be?
Yeah, bro, this is a tough gig, man. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, it's fun for me. It's something to do, but to have to depend on this, no.
No, it's anxiety. I only check this. Maybe I'm down to probably 60 times a day.
I barely do it, but I mean, it's just, to your point. If we had the bot full functioning synthetic woman that's beautiful and you can smash and bang it and it makes you a sandwich,
is that cheating though? We should ask my wife if we got a spot, would she consider that cheating?
Have you seen the video?
That'll put her on it'll be a whole fucking, the rest of the day I'll be getting text, she'll come home pissed off that I what does that mean? What do you mean this? What is that? What, are you thinking about getting are you thinking about that? To me, you're cheating just thinking about it. Be like, oh my God.
Yes.
Have you seen the people where they ask people, and I guess it's like Asian countries, they'll ask the woman, like, do you think is cheating? And they'll say no, like, for the male.
Well, listen, like 20 years ago, they it's probably 25 now. About 25 years ago, this is after the collapse of the Soviet Union, right? They had surveyed teen girls on what they wanted to be when they grew up, and like 70% of them said they wanted to enter the trade. They wanted to be 70%.
You said this is former Soviet bloc nations?
Yeah, this was after the Soviet had fallen. It maybe was maybe 5 to 10 years after 1999. So it's probably late 90s, early 2000s, and like 70% said they wanted to enter the, like, that was, to them, that was like,
that's money, bro.
I want to be I want to be a massage therapist. They make good money. Or I want to do nails, or because that was the trade that they thought they could go into and make money at.
Well, they heard the stories or whatever. Now, I mean, you look at now, these young girls are all about OF. Right? It's the same thing for no reason. Like, all these, American women are like, yeah, it's okay to do this. It's not okay as work. But if that's what you want to do, fine. But you got to understand it's work. I think to your question about the sex bot, I think if most dudes could, if there were no stigma, no shame or whatever, and if a guy would have his main woman, but he can go out and smash just random girls, I think, I'm not going to say most, but I would say the majority of guys would say, yeah, I want to do that.
Not just this, think about it. You're saying that it would be basically, they'd be embarrassed for people to know. But think about it like this. 20 years ago, if you got on a dating app, it was embarrassing. Now, I have no fucking shame of saying I've gotten on most 90, I think is it 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5 relationships or marriages started on a dating app?
Yeah, it used to be in the office. Now it's on dating apps.
Yeah, nobody's embarrassed to say that.
They used to meet in the office. They used to meet in church. They used to meet through friends. Now they're meeting online.
Same thing. Bots. If you got the Elon Musk sex bot and she looks good, what if you couldn't even tell, other than the fact that she was?
That's what I'm talking about.
If you couldn't tell,
there was a TV show called Skins.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that one?
Did you ever see the movie Cherry?
I didn't see that.
Cherry 2000. This is
see
made
that.
back in the 80s.
I didn't see that. I'm gonna
Anyway,
look
go
at
ahead.
one.
Sorry.
But the whole premise was
Skins.
about synthetic.
I've seen the preview, by the way.
Yeah, the woman who starred in this went on to star in one of that one Marvel's movie that did really bad. The Eternals. Was it called The Eternals? She starred in that. That was garbage. But anyway, the premise was good. It was that premise, like, is it cheating if you have a synthetic,
Right.
versus a organic? And I think it solves a lot of problems. I mean, I think it gives you complete control over the bottom 80. Now you got guys who don't have to do the work. They don't have to learn how to, talk to women. It's hard getting a girlfriend and all that. They don't have to worry about all that.
By that point, you have to have universal, because if you can do that, if you could pull that off, you can have workers in factories. They could be cleaning your house. They can be driving you. Like you've got a complete nation of slaves if you could make a spot that was indisputable from a regular human being. You don't have to work anymore, practically.
Because they could do all your work for you. So, but yeah,
what would your purpose be in life?
You wouldn't have one. We're close to that now. I mean, it's just one of those things, man. But as far as the red pill is concerned, if you came up with synthetic girls, it's a game changer. Now you got all these guys who would, if they cost $300,000, these dudes would figure out a way to get $300,000 and they'll order themselves a baddie. My interpretation of the red pill is uncomfortable truths. Like, we just look at the world and let's just get the true, unbiased take on whatever, be it dating, the sexual marketplace, the political world, like getting locked up, the streets. Like, let's talk about the real red pill. Like in the movie Matrix, you can take this red pill or you take the blue pill. You take the blue pill, you wake up in your fantasy land, take the red pill, you see how deep the rabbit hole really goes.
I thought you'd take the
pill shows you what's really going on.
The truth. Like, that's because you wake up out of the Matrix. Take the blue one, well, then you stay.
My bad.
Then you stay in the Matrix.
Yeah, take the blue pill, you wake up and stay in the Matrix in the fake world. Take the red pill, and you get to see what the world really looks like.
Right.
You get to see the code. So
it tricked him, bro. He had no idea.
like your boy Cypher was like, they're gonna put me back in. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like, I'm done with this.
So when I came into the space, like most men, there's a catalyst that makes you go looking for some answers. And those answers will take you down this red pill rabbit hole into the manosphere. Rich Cooper calls it the mano swamp.
The manosphere.
That's what they call it, the manosphere. And when you get there, you find a bunch of dudes who mostly are just angry. They're upset because the world isn't what they were told they're supposed to be.
Right.
Right? Everyone's supposed to get a trophy. Just ask your mom. You're special, right? You're a winner.
Yeah. I love that Jordan Peterson. He's like, you're not special, or maybe you're special, but you do need improvement. You're not perfect. It's not just you're perfect the way you are. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
You're not perfect the way you are. I'm certainly not perfect the way I am. There's always room for improvement.
Always.
Right.
And no matter what field you're in, no matter who you are, what you do. So when I got into the red pill space, that's what drew me in. And that's why I stayed. I'm like, oh, bro, I had no idea so many guys needed this sort of help. They have no idea what's going on. And most of it centers around dating. That's where most of the guys, man, how do I get a girlfriend? How do I get a wife? That's what they want.
Right.
So the Fresh and Fit podcast, talk about my buddies, Myron and Fresh, they came along and they were just giving dudes the unfiltered, just here it is, punches to the gut. This is how it works. If you're fat, if you smell bad, if you're not in the gym, bro, you're going to lose in this game. Women want the best.
Right.
Period. And, and what really propelled their platform is they would bring girls on the show, the after hours thing. And women would just come on the show and you would see what women are thinking. Like, so what type of, excuse me, ladies, describe your ideal man. And they almost describe the same dude. It's going to be like 6 feet taller. It's going to be fit. It's going to be funny. He's going to be charming. He's going to be making $300,000 a year.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah,
and
blah.
they think that's like the average guy. They think that's like, oh, I don't know, 25-30% of men make over $300,000 a year. And it's like, I don't know, 25% of men are 6 foot tall. It's like, you're you're delusional. I love when they pull that thing out. They're like, well, hold on a second.
The delusional calculator.
And they go through the whole thing and they're down to like less than 1%. And then I love that the girls are still sitting there going, yeah, well, then if that's what it is, well, don't worry, I'm going to get him. And they're like, well, wait a minute. Why would that guy go for you? You're 40 pounds overweight. You got an OnlyFans account. You're selling your body.
Tattoos on your face.
You got tattoos. You got this. You just sat here and bragged about having, banged over 100 guys. Like, why would that high value, less than 1% of society guy go for you?
Because mom said I'm special. That's why.
Exactly. Right.
That's why.
It's like, and the fact that, listen, when it hits, because some of them are so delusional, it doesn't sink in. They get argumentative. Some of them, when it hits them, and they'll just start crying and get up and leave. You're like, oh wow,
I feel
bad for them because they're surrounding themselves by these delusional people, and they're living in that delusional world. And even their guy friends are supporting this behavior because their guy friends have blue hair and they're 30 pounds overweight, and they don't mind that they pay for everything and don't. And most
importantly, those guy dudes are trying to smash. So they're not even your real friend. And that's one of the things. Fresh and Fit went viral so many times, having women grab their phone, call their best buddy, and say, hey, I want to have sex. And the girl, like, he would never. And 99 times out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, unless the guy's gay, right? Or
even then, sometimes them dudes will come over, bro. Like, it's weird. What the red pill teaches that most guys just don't understand, we understand because we came up the way we came up.
Yeah, I was gonna say because it's my age. Anybody who's in their 20s, even 30s, even that I've talked to, they've got some issues, like major issues.
They didn't go outside. Those people who like Kobe stay in the house playing on your computers. They don't go outside. They don't understand what the real world is about. So that was
Kobe's
my draw.
Actually like the perfect middle class guy. Married? Did you go to high school with your wife?
Yeah. Well, we met in high school. Yeah, we didn't go to the same high school.
That's what's up.
Kind of married his high school sweetheart, right? Like knew her in high school, married her later. Has 2 kids.
You won the game, bro.
Has a house.
Now
Has a couple, like just total, like it's like middle class America, except that runs his own business. Middle class America to me, I always think of those guys as having a decent job,
corporate manager or something like that.
But I guess you could also incorporate. No, he owns his own business.
Oh, well, you were talking about like back in the day. Yeah, you can, because back in the day for us, it was like, oh, you were like the manager at Procter and Gamble or something like that. But yeah, same thing. If you own your own business, it's the same thing.
By the way, Colby also checks all those boxes. You know what I'm saying?
6
You're not 6 foot. How tall are you?
Probably like 5'10", 5'11".
Fucking bastard. 5'10". What I do. 5'10", good looking, makes good money. You know what I'm saying? Just check. Oh.
Right. I mean, so when you look at like the red pill world, and what I found when I got into the red pill world is 80% of the guys in that world, they don't want to do the work. They're just looking for a place where they can say, yeah, it's her fault, or it's society's fault, or it's his fault. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Matt, you're like, what? Dude, I ain't 6 feet, but you're fit and you got this booming podcast and your business is going great and blah, blah, blah. So they never look in the mirror and it's like, it's my fault for being weird. It's my fault for not going out there and work on my social game. It's my fault for not taking a shower. It's my fault for not learning how to talk to women. Right. They don't want to do that. 20% of those guys are out there doing the work. And all those dudes get angry at some point. They call it red pill rage. They get in there, they get mad. They're mad at women. They're mad at society. And what I'm trying to do is get into these spaces and just help the guys who really want to do the work. It's like, look, man, quit being up mad at the game. Like, people are like, well, I'm sick of playing games. I'm like, brother, life is a game.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do, where you go. It's a game, and you got to play it. You're born into this game, and you will die in this game. That's just, I'm sorry. That's your first red pill truth right there. Now, the society at large doesn't like the red pill, and people will give you different reasons as to why. I honestly believe
it's
that
harsh. It's a harsh truth.
It's a harsh truth, and it's, bro, how dare you tell me the truth?
Yeah.
Being a military guy, they would tell us when we went on missions, like, yo, it's going to be 60% casualty rates on this one. We knew going in, like, all right, we ain't all coming out. There was no sugarcoating stuff
Yeah.
in the military.
And you don't get to put your down and go home.
Yeah.
No.
No. You could try it. You could try it. It ain't gonna work out for you. But the red pill guys, you know, who get in there and actually do the work are happy on the other end. There are even couples, like there are women who fall into the red pill space and listen, like you said, like the women who listen to what's being said is like, oh my goodness, they're right. These guys are never going to commit to me. These Chad types, these, you know, wealthy dudes, they're just going to have their fun with me and then they're going to move on to another woman. I need to figure this out.
Well, there are women that push the whole agenda or philosophy also, like Pearl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pearl. It's funny. I used to and I still like really. I don't know. She didn't come up on my feed anymore, but for a long time she was. And then you know what happened was I was watching her one time, and she started talking about how women shouldn't have the right to vote. Women should and I was like, oh wow, like you're getting a little crazy. Like she started saying some stuff that was really crazy, and I was like. I don't know that that's the route I would go. Like I'm thinking, and for the first time I was thinking, this is going to come back on you. Like you've pushed the envelope too far, and that's not going to end well for you. And honestly, I don't think I've seen her. Within 2 weeks, her stuff stopped showing up on my feed. I don't know what happened to her.
She's back. I mean, she's starting to have some things pop up now. It's just Pearl now, and I mean that's her. The title was like her channel is called Pearl. I don't know what it was called before. But I've seen her in my feed over the past couple weeks or so, like doing some more long form content. I think she moved. I think she's out of UK. I think she's here in the States. I met her once. I spoke to her at.
But she's American. She was in the UK. I didn't know that.
All that she was in the UK. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The whole time. Yeah, she's a like basketball player, like college basketball player. Like
she's like
getting to the pro level. I think she was like, and she was over there in school and playing ball, and then she fell into the space. She was on Fresh and Fit, and then. From there, she saw, you know what I mean?
She saw, hey, I see the action. This is where it's at. Yeah.
And then she took off from there. I met her once in Miami, had a quick conversation with her because, like you said, she was beginning to say wild stuff. I'm like, Pearl, let me ask you a question. I'm like, look, you're amongst friends. We were at a Donovan Sharp event, the VIP area and all that kind of stuff. Like, you cool, but I got to ask you this. Like, what did you mean by slaves didn't have it that bad? Because she was
she's sitting at a table with a bunch of black guys.
Well, just her and I standing there.
I thought you said there were other people.
Well, we were in the VIP area, but no one knew what we were talking about.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, I didn't want to. I wasn't trying to make a scene or anything. I could have, because everyone was right there. They'd have been like, "Yeah, what did you mean?" It would have been one of those kind of things. I'm like, no, I'm just serious. What were you thinking?
I'd never heard her say that.
Oh yeah, bro. She brought Fuentes on her podcast in UK. She cleared out her team is all black. They're all like UK black, like. You know what I mean? Not like American. It's a different thing. And she cleared out her room to bring him in there, and he was saying some very, crazy stuff. That's what he does. And I asked her about that. And it caused rifts within her team, obviously. But I asked her about it. Say, hey, what did you mean by that? Like, have you looked into this? I'm just curious. But then something happened. Like, there was some girl got into the VIP area that wasn't supposed to be there, and I had to go put out some fires, so I didn't get a chance to get her answer because I really wanted her answer.
Right,
Pearl, I'll find you. Like I'm gonna get my answer. But she is a sweet person, and I really believe that she's one of those types on YouTube. Like I'm gonna say and do whatever I got to do to get those views up, to get whatever. She can't possibly believe that slavery was good.
Yeah, I think that when you say things. You have to kind of go, you have to kind of put yourself in a position of a politician or a decision maker. How, like, if you believe something, or if you're going to spout off something, then you have to kind of take yourself before you say it and say, how would I implement this if I could? Like, should I hold an opinion that I can't see how you could implement that decision? How can I implement? Like, if you said, hey, I think that slavery is a good thing. We should bring back slavery. Okay, how do you implement that? Like, if that's truly your belief, how could you implement it? If you sit here and you say, well, it's just not possible to, then maybe you need to rethink your position because you can't bring it back. It's not possible. You can't unring that bell, And then how, even if you could, how do you? What are the effects of it with society, within the black community, within people that are mixed, within, like, how do you do that? You have to start figuring that out. And then very quickly it breaks apart. So you think, okay, well, it sounds good, yelling with your buddies or shooting your mouth off with your buddies. You start thinking about it. It's like, what I had a cousin one time. We were walking around. I was at Coleman. My cousin Reese. I've mentioned Reese every once in a while. Reese was brilliant. Reese should have been a college professor teaching World War II, all about World War. He could tell you about everything, how many tanks, how many bolts were in them, who manufactured them, how many people died in every battle, when the battles were. I mean, everything. He was amazing. But he's addicted to meth.
Well, yeah.
And I mean, literally, this is a guy who's the whole time while he's incarcerated can't wait to get out and just do meth. Like, it's not like you went to prison and thought, maybe I could still pull my life together. No. I'll get Social Security now, so I'll have a full-time income, and I've got an inheritance coming, so here's what I'm going to do. And it's like, oh, my God.
Didn't even take the opportunity. Like, I could kick this habit. I'm here.
No, he's a lunatic, but super smart. And I remember we were walking around one time. He was talking about public schools. And we were talking about public schools, and he was talking about how there's nothing in the Constitution that says that we have to provide schooling for the public. And he's going on and on and on about public schools. And I'm like, right. I'm like, and I said, yeah, I could see that. I said, yeah, fuck that. I said, if you're poor, you just don't get a fucking education. That's up to your parents. And if they're poor and they don't have an education, then you just don't get it. I'm like, if you can't fucking pull yourself up by your bootstraps, fuck them. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I said, fuck. I said, plus we need people to work in factories anyway. You could pay them less labor. I said, matter of fact, I said, they're not going to go to school. We can have them doing working at the age of 11 or 12 or even 10. And he kind of looked at me and I go, use your fucking head, bro. So there's nothing wrong with public schools. Okay, it's the minimum. I said, it's not like the government's saying you can't put your kid in a private school.
Right.
We're talking about the minimum. Let these kids know how to read and write and give them history and how the government works. I'm like, and he's like, anyway, because, while he starts to think about it, once I kind of laid it out, like, what's going to happen? What is the fallout of that?
What kind of society are we going to have?
How do you implement that? And what's the fallout? And then you got to do it and you go, oh, okay. Well, yeah, you're right. That's a bad idea.
Yeah, man. So it's funny though. Like back to the red pill thing. It's
you got to keep me on topic, bro. I'll take you in a rabbit hole.
I know. Yes, that's what the red pill is all about.
Right.
You want to talk about some deep rabbit holes, bro. But the vast majority of the guys that I talk to, they really just want to be the best version of themselves. They want to be able to find themselves a good woman. So. You have guys within this space, the pickup artists. You ever heard of these guys? The pickup artists. These like the Romeo dudes. These are the dudes that tell you anything to talk her out of, talk her into the bed. There's like a whole science behind that, right? You got these guys who do this pickup artistry thing. To me, it was hilarious, but what they do is based in facts. Like I look at what they're doing, I'm like, yeah, that works, but the way they break it down, like it's just nerds have stumbled onto something and they break it down. And to someone like me, it's like, bro, just go out there and do it.
Is it just lying about like, I've got
lines.
Yeah, just bullshit to get the girl to believe that you're highly successful, you're kicking ass, you're
telling her what she wants to hear so you can get what you want. That's how pickup artistry is. You can flatter her. Sometimes that works. Sometimes you treat her like, shit. Right? You might go up to her and say some things to her, just treat her like shit. That might work. just all the different games you've encountered over your lifetime. Yeah. They've wrote it all down and they structured it into like this thing they call PUA, pickup artistry. Yeah. It stems from this book called Mystery. And like this guy named Mystery, and he wrote this book, Mystery Method. I read the book and man, that thing took off like fucking fire. Like it just took off. And these dudes are going out here approaching women, and you and I both know at the end of the day, it's just a numbers game. If you talk to 100 women, you're gonna get X amount of chicks. Right. Period. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Listen, I gotta tell you something else real quick. I gotta get you off subject again. Do you ever listen to the TV show, the radio show where they do and they do it's the second chance or second date update or something like that, or second.
I've never seen that.
Oh, I'm sure I've got it wrong. I want to say it's a country station where they call so you went on a date with some chick.
But what, you thought I was listening to this country station, bro?
You could be listening to your country. So you go on a date with some chick, and one of the two of you is texting the other one, and that's it. You went on one date, and then it's over. And you think, let's say it's you. You're like, I've been texting her. I tried to call her, left a message. I texted her 4 times. She told me she liked me, wanted to go out. Well, I thought we had a good time. I don't know what's wrong.
Ghosted.
She ghosted me. And so they're like, oh, okay. So then they call the girl and they get her on the radio. And then they say, listen,
I've seen clips of this.
Yeah,
I've
know.
seen clips of this.
I'm sure half the radio stations in America do it. And so they do it here. And so it just so happens that on Jess and I, my wife's name is Jess. So on our way home, we always catch it because we go the same time. And they drag it out over 20 minutes. They talk about, hey, we're going to be doing the second chance update in 2 minutes, so you know it's coming. So you've got this whole thing. So on the way home, we always catch it. Sometimes we'll be sitting in the driveway listening to it. Sometimes Jess will come in, we'll get halfway through it. She pulls it up on her phone, and we'll sit there and listen to it. And then sometimes we get the whole thing in the car. But the point is that we're driving home, and this chick, they get the girl on the phone. The guy's like, hey, I don't know. I understand. We had a great time. Hilarious. Made out with her at the car, put her in her car. I was going back in the bar and put her in the car because she had to wake up early in the morning and left. And so he's like, I don't know what happened. I've texted her a few times. She's not returning my calls. And so they go, okay, we'll call her. They call her and they go, hey, here's what's going on, boom, boom, boom. We understand you had a date with this guy, John. And she's like, yeah. She goes, God, it was a great date too. They go, really? She goes, oh my God. She goes, he kissed me at the end of the night before I got my car. She goes, I mean, like butterflies in my stomach, the chemistry was overwhelming. They're like, okay, well, what happened? She goes, well, when he left and I got in my car, I actually sat in my car for like 10 minutes thinking about the kiss. That's how good it was. Of course, Lana is on the show. She's like, oh my God, I totally know what you mean. They're going on. They drag it out. So she's like, yeah. So I got up and I thought, you know what? To hell with getting sleep. So for tomorrow, I'll just go to work sleepy. If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above, that's where Ghost Bed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, Ghost Bed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Even better, our listeners can get 50% off site-wide for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use the code COX at checkout. Again, that's ghostbed.com/Cox with the code COX at the checkout to save a whopping 50% off site-wide. Like, I want to spend more time with this guy. I want to see this guy again. I want to see him now. So I get up and I go back into the bar. And as I'm walking in the bar, and it's been now 10, 15 minutes. She goes, as I walk in the bar, I see him walk up to some girl and they're like, oh, hey. And they smile and they give a hug. And then he sits down with her. It's clearly like an introduction, like they just met. She goes, and I sat there and watched this guy on another date. She goes, he had another date set up. He literally, she's like, I had told him I have to leave by 9 o'clock. She's like, and this guy set up another date at like 9:15 or 9:30, whatever it was. And so they get him on. She's like, and I watched it. It was clearly another date. She's like, I mean, this is the whole thing. So she's like, so I was so upset. I just left. They were like, you didn't say anything? She's like, no, I couldn't. What am I going to say? I mean, this guy's clearly playing like some kind of game. So she said, I got my car. I left. She said, I've been so disappointed ever since. They get the guy on the phone. They're like, well, I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, listen, I had a great time with you. I thought you were amazing. And the kiss was amazing. She's like, okay, so who is that girl? He's like, well, I mean, that was another date. I obviously set up another date because like I just met you. And he's like, I don't know you. Like, I didn't know it was going to be amazing. Like, trust me, the whole time I was with her, I was thinking of you.
Gang.
And I'm laughing my ass off driving down the roads. I'm like, oh my God. He goes, and let's be honest. It's a numbers game. And he said, I mean, he's like I don't have a lot of time off. I told you that. I have a few nights a week because I also do this and this. He's like, so I tend to schedule a couple dates. I'm trying to find someone to spend my life with. So he goes through the whole explanation. Totally reasonable. I don't know you. We're not dating. It's a numbers game. I'm sorry that would you have been more happy if I'd gotten in my car, driven across town and met some girl, or if I met her the next day? Like, what does it matter? I only have a couple days. I didn't know. It's an introduction. Would it be better if I'd met you for coffee that day and met her that night? Like, come on. So he goes through the whole thing and I'm laughing and I'm like, oh my God. And the problem is I've actually used it. There's actually a joke called numbers game. And here's the joke. And I've told this to my wife. There's two guys standing at a bus stop, and a girl walks by, and the one guy says, "Hey, baby, you want to go back to my place and fuck?" And she slaps him in the face and walks off. The guy next to him starts laughing. Another girl walks by. He goes, "Hey, baby, you want to go back to my place and screw?" She slaps him in the face and walks off. The guy starts laughing. Another girl walks by and he goes, "Hey," he said, "you want to go back to my place and have sex?" Boom, she slaps him in the face and walks off. The guy starts laughing, looks at the other guy and says, "Man, you must get slapped a lot." He says, "Yeah, but I get laid a lot too." And that's the bottom line. So numbers. I've joked about that with my wife. So I'm in the car with her when he says numbers game, and I'm laughing, and I think she's laughing. Colby, she's not laughing. She doesn't find it funny at all. And I'm like, yeah, I said, this guy's absolutely right. I said, I wouldn't be that brazen because I'd be worried would get caught. Not that I wouldn't do it, but my concern was I wouldn't want to get caught and be in an awkward situation with two girls standing there. I probably would have scheduled it at another place, maybe down the road or at another time during the day. Whatever.
I wouldn't have. I'd have did it just like he did. The only thing I would have done different, I would have told the girl, the amazing girl, that I got another date. Ooh. I'd have told her that at the beginning of the night. Top of the night.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry, but
I'm sorry. Like, hey, what's going on? Just so you know, blah blah blah. I'd have let her know. Somehow I'd have worked it in there.
I'd have thrown "I'm sorry" in. So anyway, I get it. Like I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but you have to understand. Like I'm on a mission here. Like this is what it is. Maybe it's you, maybe it's her. I don't know. But anyway, the point is that I'm laughing my ass off. I look over at my wife. It's not good, bro. Like the whole way, she goes, "You would do that. That's something you would do." And I'm like, but I don't. But
I'm like, would baby? Something I have done. My God. I didn't do it with you. That's more game. Oh, I didn't do it with you, baby.
No, but the whole time I was thinking of you. Like,
nah, bro. See, and that's the thing. The red pill world covers that and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Okay,
too. Like it covers like male dating strategy versus female dating strategy. A lot of women get upset when the female dating strategy is exposed. It's very simple. Women got it easy when it comes to dating. What do they have to do? Nothing really. They just show up. Somebody's going to talk to them. I don't care how ugly, how crass, how fat, doesn't matter. Some dude is going to talk to her, right? So long as her lady parts are working, some dude is going to be interested, right? It doesn't work that way with dudes. Most dudes are sexless anyway. Like we're in Professor Scott Galloway talks about this all the time. We're in an era where, you have these sexless, lonely men. And they're not just lonely on a romantic standpoint, but they don't have any buddies. You got guys now walking around, they have zero friends. Everything is online on this screen.
Right.
And that's bad for your development. That's bad for our society. And it manifests itself in different ways. We're going to get to that a little bit later on in this conversation when we talk about like the red pill when it comes to politics, right? So, women don't like it. Society doesn't like it. Quit telling these men how to be successful. Like that woman, he's the perfect guy. It was a magical kiss. I'm sitting there. All that's her fault. All that's her fault. She could have said, come on, I'm having a great time. Can we just go somewhere else? And they would have gone on somewhere else and they could have lived happily ever after. More likely he just would have smashed and moved on to the next chick. But anyway, she could have had a at.
Well, he seemed taken by her. He's called a radio station to track her down. He's thinking this chick's
could be. So give it okay. Then maybe they could have had that fairy tale ending, right?
Yeah, maybe.
But she didn't allow it. And then she goes back in, she gets upset.
Like to me, like he was reasonable. Like she could have said, okay, you know what? Now that you've explained it, that's reasonable. Let's go on another day. She could have been accepting of that. They don't have a commitment.
He should have had a little more dog in him. The fact that she wanted all that, he should have had a little more dog in him. Like, what's good? She wanted to. The thing with women, this is something that I tell a lot of these guys. Not just young guys, older guys too. I'm like, women know pretty much the first time they see you if they're gonna do something with you or not. They know.
They know if they're willing to, at the very least. I will.
I would bang this dude.
Right. If the rest of if unless something goes wrong in the next 45 minutes to an hour, I would have sex with
If
this
he
guy.
can keep his foot out of his mouth for 45 minutes to an hour, we gonna do something.
Right.
Tonight. You know what I mean? Like if it doesn't happen that night, it's gonna happen within the next couple of days. Like it's going to happen. She wants to have sex with him. This dude was on that path. She comes back in and sees him talking to someone and it messed up her fantasy.
Yeah.
He was still a great guy. It was still a first date. It was a great first date. It's not like she saw the dude making out with the woman and all this other kind of stuff. He's just talking to her. And like he said, he probably was like, I wonder where little shorty is.
Well, even like I do believe that he's sitting there talking to this chick thinking, God, that was an amazing date. I have no doubt about that. But even if she came in and saw him, if she had the right frame of mind and realized we do not have a commitment, it's okay that he's on a date. I told him obviously, got in the car, waited for him to call, gone out with him again, and she could have said, "Hey, look here, I came back. Blah blah. What's the deal with that?" And he could have said, "Oh yeah, I did have another date, but look, I really like you. If this works out, I won't see anybody else." Like that's reasonable. That's a reasonable understanding of what dating is. You can't meet some guy one time and say, "Oh, from now on you should talk to nobody," because that's she's still talking to people. She's gonna go on another date.
Exactly, but that's how it works because most dudes don't get that kind of access to begin with. And if she's attractive, that guy would lock in on her and not focus on anyone else while she's still running her rotation.
Right.
Which, again, this is why a lot of people, I believe, don't like this red pill content because they're telling guys, don't do that. I tell dudes all the time, like, bro, that's, again, only thing I would have changed in that situation, I'd have told her up top that I'm seeing someone else. I'd have figured out a way to get that in the conversation straight away. And we would have moved on from there and had a great date. And then I wouldn't have been looking for her on a radio station and all that. Just wait. Just wait. She will circle back, bro. She can find you. She can find your social media. She has your number. All you got to do is wait. It might take 2 weeks. It might take 2 years. But eventually, she might circle back. And when she does, you're good. But you never want to be in a position where you're chasing her, like, because it's a wrap. If you're chasing her, bro, it's probably not going to go that well. It just isn't. And a lot of guys, that's what men are programmed to do. I'm going to chase you. I'm going to romance you. I'm going to take you out on a dinner date with a helicopter and $1,000 worth of flowers. Like, bro, have you lost your mind? You done bumped your head or something, bro? No, we ain't doing that. Take her out for ice cream on the first date. Guys like, where should I take her? I'm going to take her to Shea whatever. No. Shea, spend all your money. I'm going to take her over here. Like, man, take her out for ice cream, bro. Take her to the park, have a walk. You know what I mean? Don't take her someplace.
I would go to coffee. My big thing was coffee. Like, I'm not going to spend, and things have changed because now it's $100. But when I got out of prison 5 years ago, you could probably get away with $60 or $80. Now it's easily $100, and that's if nobody drinks.
You talking about dinner?
Dinner.
Depends on where you go, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, like Outback, someplace semi-reasonable. But still, we're talking about almost $100. That's if she orders food, I order food, we don't have appetizer. Like, that's bottom.
No drinks.
Right. So to me, because when I got out and started kind of dating, dating my wife, but when we broke up a few times, it was coffee. It was coffee.
And your wife was into you, and she was okay with that. So a lot of these dudes are chasing women and
she wasn't. We broke up, but yeah, she would have cut my throat. But still, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, but we were broken up. Like, we were broken up. But here's the thing:
y'all back together, right?
You are. You know why? and she, of course, is furious that I went on any dates. But you know why we're back together? Because I went on those dates. Because as soon as it was like, okay, so you're sure about this? Yeah, it's not going to work. Okay, we're good. When she started texting, how you doing? We got nothing to say to each other. Right. I was like, we're done. We're done.
And she circled back, just like I said.
Absolutely. And you know what I did? I started going out on other dates. I went on. I forget the name of. Listen, I didn't go on one dating app. I went on 3 or 4. One, because I got kicked off at 2 because I'm a felon. But so I was on multiple.
They kick you off for being a felon?
Oh, bro, I met this chick. We back and forth. And then we go to meet. And on the way to meet, we're texting through the app. She says, hey, can you give me your phone number? And I go, sure. I give her my phone number. She doesn't show up. Within an hour, I'm kicked off the app completely.
She ran you through a thing.
She ran me through, took my phone number, took my name, ran me through a thing, found out what my name was, looked me up, said this guy's a fucking criminal, and they immediately kicked me off the app because I was a criminal. Now so anyway.
You still got a wife. There's dudes out here can't get women.
Yeah. Look, no, then I got kicked off another website because she knew I was on 2 dating. So she contacts the other one. So she's now systematically going through and doing a scorched earth policy against me. So my point is that, but I kept dating because that's just who I am. So I kept dating, but because I kept dating and I had those options, it gave me the confidence that when I met some chick, I don't come off desperate. I don't come off. It doesn't matter if this works out or not. I could just be comfortable and calm and everything. I know because I got a date in 3 days. So you know what I'm saying. So I know what you're saying. It's like to me, it is a numbers game. It's I'm going to set up as many dates with as many women as I possibly can that are decent looking, and I'm going to date those women. And
Only
one of
dimes.
them will rise to the top.
Only 10s, my friend. I tell dudes that too. If you're going to go
10s.
out there, only 10s.
Your version of a 10 and my version of a 10 is probably vastly different.
Well, here's the thing. So long as you believe that's a 10, whatever that is in your world,
Right.
only go after the best, right? And guys are like, well, they're harder to talk to. They're easier to talk to. You'll find out what I'm talking about when you start talking to them.
Yeah.
Right. And because confidence is the key, like you said.
Listen, most 10s have less going on up here. They've gotten along on their looks most of their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is sad.
It is a little bit sad, but hey, man, the game is a game. It is what it is, a cold game, bro. It is what it is. So if that's what you want, and it teaches you things, go after the 10s so you can see and find out for yourself what you just said right there. They're not really worth it.
No. And
then,
they're a pain in the ass.
Right. And now you know what you're really looking for in a woman. And there's so much to this. A lot of guys are like, well, I want to go out here because they just really want not just sexual contact, but contact with women. They want to be able to have a conversation.
Right.
They don't know these things. We know this just from watching your history and what you were doing. You've always had no problems talking to women.
No, never. And which is sad because I've always dated above what I should be dating at. Just because I'm smooth. And look,
according to who?
According to that little app, bro. Like I'm not 6 foot tall. I'm not making $300,000 a year. I'm not making you go through that app. It's like I don't check any of those boxes. The only thing I check is I am able to go up with confidence and hey, what's going on? Because
that's all it takes.
You know who taught me that? My buddy David Simpson.
When he was locked down?
No. When I was how old was I? He was like 15 or 16 and I was like 17. This guy, oh God, Colby, this is so old, so long ago. Dude, this was social media. Social media when I was growing up. How old are you?
53.
Okay. When we were growing up, do you remember you would go to like a strip mall and guys would get in their cars and they would just circle and circle.
Yeah,
and,
on the strip.
On the strip. And all the high schools would come there and girls would stand around and guys would say they'd have, they if it was McDonald's, they'd be in the parking lot. If it was whatever, you just drive your car, circle, circle, circle. And I had a buddy named David Simpson. And David Simpson, one time we're driving and he literally, he's like 15, 16 years old. I think he might've been 16, whatever. He, boom, pops the door, jumps right out of the car. Like he's like, oh, stop. I'm like, I barely even stopped the car. He jumps out. Walks up to this chick, her and her 4 girlfriends, walks right up, boom. He said, hey, my name's David Simpson. He said, what's your name? And the girl's like, Jennifer. He's like, hey, Jennifer, I saw you driving by. He's like, you're beautiful. I don't know if you have a boyfriend or anything. If you don't, can I get your phone number?
Get them digits.
And she was like, yeah, okay. And she gives him the phone number. He's like, okay, thanks. I'm sorry. I'm with my buddy. I got to go, but I'm going to call you. And she's like, okay. Gets in the car, driving up. David Simpson got fucking 5 or 6 numbers that night at least. I was terrified to walk up to her.
And you had the car.
I had the car, and I was telling him and when he got in by the 3rd one, I was like, bro, aren't you afraid she's gonna laugh at you or tell you? He was like, oh yeah, sometimes they laugh. Yeah, sometimes this. Or they'll say something like, I have a boyfriend or I'm not interested, and I'm like, well, what? I mean, what do you? And he goes, man, I don't know her. I've never seen that girl before. I'll never see her again if I don't call her. And he goes, if she laughs at me, he goes, I don't care.
It's like, bro, ain't nobody shooting us, ain't pitting us, they ain't throwing bats at us. Like, what are you talking about?
But, I was so insecure. Look, it took another 3 to 6 months of hanging out with this dude to realize it doesn't matter. Mm-mm. It doesn't. Like, and especially if you expect it. If you expect them to go, I have a boyfriend. You go, my bad. Totally sorry. You're very pretty. Sorry to bother you, and walk away.
Yeah,
fine.
good.
You haven't done anything wrong.
And
You're
guess
okay.
what? That woman, that young girl, will circle back one day.
Yeah.
Because it's the confidence. And this is another thing. So like there are a whole bunch of different colored pills out there. You're probably not aware of this. So you got the red pill. You heard about that. They're just talking about dating, talking about fitness, finance, but mostly how to date, how to get women. Then you have the black pill, right? The black pill, those guys, the gloom and doomers. You would be a black pillar if it weren't for your friend that was riding with you in the car. If you never learned that lesson at 15, you never would have been able to speak to women. You would have worked hard and all that kind of stuff, but you would have struggled with women because you didn't learn that early on, right? And the black pillars are like, because I'm not 6 feet, because I don't make six figures, because I'm not in shape, because I'm not funny, women are never going to want me. Women only want this type of dude. They're not going to talk to any other dude. And if they do, they're just using that guy for his resources and his time and for validation and blah, blah, blah. It's just gloom and doomers. Black pill guys. I'm always talking to these black pill guys like, bro, you just sound like you quit. Like, I don't know what that means. Like when I do my podcast, there's an airborne flag on the wall behind me because I used to be a paratrooper.
Right.
And they were like, well, what do you do? You know, don't you just give up after a while? I'm like, you see that flag behind me, bro? That means we don't give up. I'm airborne, man. I don't know what quit means. You a quitter, bro. Like, stop being a quitter and maybe you'll find some success. Your man never quit.
Yeah.
Well, just kept going, right?
Yeah, so back to a numbers game. It may not have worked with that chick. That's fine. There will be another one. She's probably perfect for someone else. And like you said, maybe she'll come back around. I'm not concerned about it. And because mentally he's not concerned, there's a better chance she does come back around. Right?
She's going to come back around because women want confident men, period. Doesn't matter, like, you know, being 6 feet and being fit and having a jawline and all that other BS, like having the jeans, all that's good. But it's not required.
No, you don't listen. That's like saying, so if some guy who says, "Oh, well, you're 5'6", that's it. You'll never get a girl." That's not true.
That's not true at all. That's not true. I know bro. You're not a tall dude, but like I said, you've had your share.
Right. Not
you're
only
a married
that,
man now.
I make fun of the fact that I'm not like I'm self-effacing. Like, I know what it is. I joke about it. My wife jokes about it. You know, like my friends joke about it. Like, I'm not walking around like it's with a chip on my shoulder. Like, that's what it is. Listen, I had my dad one time when I was a kid. Something had happened and I forget what it was, but I was talking about I wanted to be taller. Like, well, when am I gonna? I'm like 14,
I want
15.
to be a baller. I want to be taller.
Yeah. When am I gonna, like, when am I hitting my next growth spurt? And he's like,
oh yeah, you're done, son.
Growth spurt. Like, my dad's like 5'9", 5'10", and my mom's like 5'2". He's like, I'd say you're probably at the end of your growth spurt right now.
He's like, you're there, sonny boy.
Yeah, that's it. And I was like, and I was upset. Like, I wanted to be taller. I thought I would be at least as tall as you. He's like, it doesn't work out like that. He's like, your grandfather was like 5'3". And I was like, huh? He's like, yeah. And he started naming, and my mother was this tall. And he's like, I'm lucky I'm as tall as I am. So he has this whole conversation with me. And I was like, I was so upset. And he was like, look, and it was about girls. And he was like, you're just going to have to work a little harder. That's all. Like, that's it. He's like, you're just going to have to work harder. Like, there was no, you're special.
Right.
There was no placating me. He's like, you're just going to have to work harder. That's it. You have other skills. You'll have to tune those other skills. I remember, I think he said something about, because this is something that they used to always say, which probably isn't true, where they were like, if you lose your sight, then your ears get more.
Yeah, your other
it's probably
senses,
bullshit.
Yeah.
But
other senses heighten.
your other senses. But he was just saying, you just have to work on the things that you're stronger at. He's like, you'll find somebody. It will happen. It will work. You're smart. You're personable. You'll be fine. It'll be fine. Toughen up. Rub some dirt in it.
Right, rub some dirt in it, and then you met your homeboy.
Yeah.
And you had a car. I mean, come on, bro. Like, as a kid with a car, when we were coming up, I mean, bro, you were 90% there because you got a vehicle. Yeah. That'll get you on just that by itself. Girls will want to come. He has a car.
Well, I was in an upper middle class neighborhood, so everybody had a car.
Man,
so
I was
really
in the hood, bro. We ain't had no vehicle. I had to walk to the strip. I had to walk back, bro. We talking, 5-6 miles at least.
Uphill both ways,
bro. It wasn't uphill both ways, but we know they were shooting at us. Like, it was like we had to roll through some bad neighborhoods. So it was like, bro, not all the time, but just every now and then. But nah, bro. But that's the That's the whole gist with that red pill world. And then, like I said, the black pill guys are the guys who have given up. No matter what I do, I'm never going to be able to get a woman. I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm never going to be rich. I'm never going to.
Not with that attitude.
Exactly. Gloom and doomers. And they want, you know, you got these worlds, these bubbles are coming together. So you got people like me and you saying, bro, that doesn't, come on. You're proof that you don't have to be whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I'm proof that you don't have to be whatever. You know, they're like, well, you get this and this and this. I'm like, bro, let's talk about the shit I didn't have. Let's talk about the things I had to overcome just to get to this point.
Right.
And I'm like, if I had your attitude, bro, I never would have gotten to that point. So no, everyone has to do work, right? Even the guys that are the Chads or whatever, the dudes who do really well with women, bro, out of 10, they might get 3 women, 4, you know, but they're not getting 50%. Even those dudes got to work at it, you know, as opposed to a woman. If you're just a beautiful woman, like, bro, opportunities are coming your way. Like, if you're a beautiful woman, dudes are going to be hitting you up, especially now in this digital world. Hey, would you like to go on my yacht? Hey, would you like to fly on my private plane? Hey, would you like to come to this grand opening in this, you know, Shea, whatever? Hey, would you? That's just the life of being a woman. The dating apps, I tell dudes all the time, don't get on a dating app. Don't do it. The fact that you were able to get on dating apps and even have women willing to, holler at you, that puts you at the upper echelon of guy. Because most dudes get terrible results on dating apps. There's so many videos on it when you can actually see in real time how hard it is for a guy to get a date.
It's swiping, and it's extremely depressing. But the fact is that the great thing is that it's like, you know, boom, looks good. But I had a cut and paste strategy where when you cut, I mean, I had a thing, I'd cut, paste. I even had a chick tell me one time, she's like, is this a cut and paste?
Like, yes.
And I was like, well, I mean, part of it, I think I changed your name. I did change this one thing. And just being honest, it's a numbers game. It's just strategy. Slam. You hit up 30 of them. 3 of them come back. One of them ends up being a fucking date after 2 days of going back and forth. That's it. That chick falls apart. That doesn't work. But if you do that twice a week in a month, you got some girl that won't leave you alone, and she wants to she's in love with you and thinks you're the most amazing guy. Like, this isn't difficult.
It's not, but for people who've never done it, they just don't understand it. And I think when you have the guys who are actually in the red pill and they start doing the work and they see how easy it really is, they get upset again. They do that like, damn it. I wasted all this time. I could have been doing this. They get kind of frustrated, you know what I mean? But they keep doing it. It's like, bro, it's just numbers, man. And
keep in mind what I was telling these chicks too, by the way. I'm not lying to them.
No.
I just got out of federal prison. I'm driving a vehicle that's 10 years old. I'm staying in someone's spare room. I'm rebuilding my entire life. Would you like to meet for Starbucks?
Okay.
And I'm old. And I'm an old man. Of course, the pictures on there look damn good because I was in great shape at that time. I was just 10, 15 pounds lighter. Like, I looked fucking
shredded.
Looked good.
You just got out the joint. But you know how to communicate with folks. And then when they meet you, I'm sure the conversations were great.
Some of them were. Some of them weren't.
Well,
some of them I didn't tell them up. I wasn't super honest up front. Like, I was just like, oh, I'm doing you don't answer some of those questions super directly up front. So when you meet them, you say, look, I need to go ahead and tell you this. You tell them some of those conversations went bad. I mean, I had some bad ones, bro.
I would have started with, well, did I tell you I was on TV?
No,
I would have started.
It's bad. I went to, where did I do one time? I was at the Capitol Grill. You know, Capitol Grill, where they do the hot dogs, right?
Yeah.
Is it hot dogs?
No, Capitol Grill's a steakhouse, high-end steakhouse.
No. This is Capitol Taco.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
we were different places.
I'm sorry, we were getting tacos.
Capitol Grill average is probably like $150 to $300 a person.
Listen.
You went there, bro? Like,
no, this is Capitol Taco. They did a little taco, amazing tacos. And we met there. And when I explained to her that I just got out of prison, and I said that she's like, well, she got loud. What do you mean you just got out of prison? Like, people at the other fucking table are looking.
For her mace, like.
And I'm like, well, I mean, it's been about, it's like 6 months. I'm doing this, and I'm kind of starting my life over again. I'm this and that. I just want to be very upfront with you.
I'd have told you to start with the crime you committed first, because when you say I just got out of prison, they're thinking the worst.
Listen, with it, we were there within a minute or two, and I was like, it's not a big deal. It's not like I was driving around with a body in the back of my car. I said it was bank fraud. It's not that big deal. She's like, well, how long did you do? And I went, and I think I rounded down. I was like 12 years. And she's like, 12 years? She's like, they don't put you in prison for 12 years because it's not a big deal. And I, People are like looking, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I need to get that taco to go.
Like, babe, you can have a taco. I'm out of here.
Then she starts telling me about her son had gone to prison and how, what did you, oh my God, like, this is a big deal. You should have told.
Her son went to prison?
Yeah,
and she giving you a hard time?
And she's upset with me. And her son was like a lunatic. He burglarized places and everything. We had a 20, 30-minute conversation. And she's like, yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not sure about this. And I was like, listen, there are two kinds of people. I said, there are those people that are 100% acceptant of the person I was and the person I am today. And there are those people that can go fuck themselves. And she's like, well, I just don't think I can be okay with that. I said, it sounds like you just put yourself in a category.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Got in my car and left. And then she's texting me. She kept texting me. No, but here's what's funny about this. Listen. So I'm like, listen. So we're texting. I go, so do you want to go out again? And she's like, no, I just want to explain myself. I go, we got nothing to talk about. So there's no reason for us to ever text again. You've made your decision. I'm good with it. I'll find someone that is okay with who the person I am. She says, well, I'm sorry it had to work out this way. But yeah. Well, good luck to you. Guess what? Jess and I break up. Ooh, she doesn't know any of this. Well, I don't think she watches the program. So like, I'd say we break up like a year later. Jess and I break up a year later. I go back out with the girl.
Circle back. All right, man, I keep trying to tell you, bro.
See what I'm saying?
I know.
She had texted me.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like he discovers fire and shows it burns. I know.
It's insane.
I gave it to you.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
Felt like she'd been too rash. You know, you're a nice guy. So.
Bro, they circle back. And that is the game. Not all of them.
No.
But some.
No, some of them can't track you down.
Exactly.
Some go home and 2 weeks later they realize they fucked up and didn't get your number. You know, and
they will hover around those places that you took them and places you said you like to go, bro. I bumped into so many women on the circle back, thinking it was random. Like, no, they were lightweight stalking me. They were going to the places that they knew I would frequent, and eventually they caught me there.
You're not hard to find. You're on YouTube.
Well, it's before YouTube.
Okay,
it scared me. I ain't gonna lie. It was in LA. Like, how the hell did you find me? You know, but. When women want you, they lock in, they come for you. And this is another thing.
I've been standing outside your apartment for 2 weeks. We had to bump into each other eventually.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't even know whose dog this is I'm holding. Like, what? How did you stole someone's dog. So, but the thing is, when guys begin to see this, they're like, wow. Like, I didn't think this was possible. There are dudes out there to tell you, like, there's no way you, Matthew Koss, can get a beautiful woman because you're not 6 feet or you did this or blah, blah, blah. And you're like, bro, here's my history. I'm married now, but here's my history. You know me, pick one. Right. You're like, no, you really were with these women? Like, yeah, bro. So don't be mad at me because I did the work and you chose not to. And when chasing women is time consuming, but it's not difficult. It just takes a lot of time. I tell the guys, you look better chasing a career. You look better chasing money, establishing yourself more, because you can't really do both well, right? If you're trying to chase women and you're trying to build a business, something's going to suffer because women need a lot of attention.
Well, I was going to say, if you look, I think the guys that I know when I talk to because here's the thing, when I started going on the podcast, right? This was before we had a channel, right? Guys were in the comment section wanting to talk to me. Bro, can I talk to you? Could you mentor me? Could you? And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm living in someone's spare room. What mentor you on what? Like, I'm not going to talk to you about fraud. I'm not. But there were young guys in their early 20s. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I make money? I don't have a girlfriend. I have never dated. Like, they're telling me I'm getting on, and then I would get on the phone with them and talk to them and be like, this is insane, the things that they're saying. And there were tons of them. And it took another year or so before I started watching like Jordan Peterson, watching some of these guys on YouTube and realizing like, oh, this isn't a few lonely guys. This is a full-blown epidemic that's happening.
It's the vast majority of men. If I were to make up numbers, I would say it's 80% of dudes.
That's insane.
80% of dudes today are just lost, man. They're just, because your dad told you. What'd your dad tell you? Rub some dirt on it, man. It is what it is. You ain't gonna get any taller. No, you can't have any elevator shoes. Get outside and do your thing, right? So it's one of those kind of things. Now, people are raised with, they don't have both parents in the home. God knows what the one parent is saying, just saying whatever they need to say. So if they can say anything because they're working constantly and all that kind of stuff, So these guys have lost a lot of.
They're disenfranchised.
Right.
Yeah.
And no one cares. That's another thing too. Nobody
has
cares.
any sympathy for them.
No one gives a shit about male problems.
Right.
You look at the self-deletion rate. It's up there. It's crazy. You look at the underemployed and unemployed. Right. You look at, colleges. Who's in college right now? It's not dudes. Right. It was almost 2 to 1 women, in completing college. So no one cares. These dudes are invisible. Most people don't see them. You and I see them because we're looking for threats. But the average woman, they don't see these dudes. And I tell these guys all the time, like, you don't have to be invisible. You can bring yourself out of that invisible 80 world, right? Because I always break it down like the 80-20 rule. I'll say that women find basically 20% of men attractive. And those are the guys that they see.
Right.
So you look at whatever podcast, you look at Fresh and Fit, you look at Michael Sartain and Rolo's Access Vegas, they'll have these women on the platform. And all these women describe the same type dude. It's because that's all they see. They don't see the guy dropping fries at McDonald's. They don't see the guy, stocking the shelves at CVS. They don't see the dude out there picking up the trash or sweeping the streets. They don't see them. They only see the dudes with the Lamborghini. They only see the dudes with the Alpina. They only see the dudes that are getting bottle service and all that kind of stuff. They only see the dudes who are fit, right? So, and you can break down the numbers. People, they get mad about that. It was the 80-20 rule. And there'll be people probably on this one in the chat. Hi, chat. They'll probably be in the chat. 80-20 rule is bullshit. I use 80-20. You can say 90-10. Use any numbers you want. A very small minority of men are getting the vast majority of women because the women want those guys. So I tell the dudes in the bottom, do the work, and then women will see you. Simple as that.
Yeah, I was going to say, the problem is I think that the guys that are in the 80% think, well, I'm stuck in the 80%.
Yes.
You don't have to be stuck in the 80%. First of all, it's the same thing with like employment. Like I'll talk to guys who are like, well, I can't find a job or I can't. Well, wait a minute. I know what you do for every day, by the way. I know that you smoke pot throughout the entire day. I know that you spend almost 6 to 8 hours playing video games. And I know that maybe you put in a couple applications here and there. And I know that the applications you're putting in are for jobs that pay $25 or $30 an hour. And the truth is, you're not a $25 or $30 an hour guy. You know what you are? You're an entry level $14 or $15 an hour guy that in 2 years from now is making $30 an hour.
And I was going to say that.
Right.
You did $14 an hour today.
Right.
Guy.
But they don't want to take that job.
They don't want to do the
I'm
work.
better than that. But guess what? You're not better than that.
You're not.
You smoke. All you do is smoke pot and play video games. Get a fucking job. Stop playing video. Take your thing and throw it out. Stop smoking pot. Put that money in the bank. Save money. Make it a game to save money. Work your ass off. Get 2 jobs. Get a job and a part-time job if that's all you can do. And guess what? Well, yeah, but I can't quite get the hours to work. Fine. Work 3 days, and when you can't make that other day, quit. Or get fired. Get another fucking part-time job. Like you'll get one eventually. It's easier to get a job, just like with a girlfriend. It's easier to get another job when you have a job, even if it's a shitty job.
Yep.
It's easier. If you have a girlfriend, it's easier to get. Every time I've ever had a girlfriend, women are falling out of the sky. But when you don't have a girlfriend, that's when it's more difficult to find a girlfriend when you don't have one. Not impossible, more difficult. So wake up at 5 a.m, start working out, go to your job, go to your second job, save all your fucking money, stop watching sitcoms, stop smoking pot, stop playing video games. And I'm guaranteeing 6 months from now, you're in great shape. You look good. You're super confident. You've got a little bit of money in the bank. And I probably have a girlfriend.
Coming soon, guys. RP Mac. Well, coming soon. Because that's all that it is right there. That is pretty much what that world encompasses. The manosphere, manoswamp, whatever you want to call it, the red pill world. That is men trying to help other men get better. Now, are there some bad actors? Yes. Are there some, charlatans out there, scammers out there? Yes. You hit it already. When you first started, people were hitting you up, wanting to pay you to talk to you, to mentor them and all that. There are people out there that will gladly take your money.
Yeah.
And all they'll do is they'll get a transcript of what you just said a moment ago and charge somebody $100 an hour and just read that transcript to them.
Yeah.
Right? So are there people out there willing to take your money? Yes. men in our society are the batteries that drive our society. Our society is going to come apart because men are sexless and lonely. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion. This is not going to go well for America if we don't solve for this problem. We're taking care of women. We're taking care of, Black people. We're taking care of the LGBTQ community. We're taking care of Asians. You name the subgroup and we're taking care of them, but we don't give a shit about men, in particular white men. Like, we don't care.
They're placating to 1% of society at the expense of 99%, or let's say, if it's just men, at 50% of society.
Right. So and you need those men to drive this society. I tell dudes all the time, like, bro, you're a battery. Just like in the movie The Matrix, you are shoved in the machine and you are the battery that drives this matrix. Now, when I talk red pill stuff, I just tell dudes this. I say, look, I'm not telling you what to do with your life. I'm just telling you how the game is played. This is what's up. This is what you're up against, right? Take this information and do with it what you will. But don't come back crying to me. Like, if you get married to some woman that you met in the strip club, she's a stripper with 3 kids by 4 different dads. Yeah, 3 kids, 4 dads, figure that one out, right? And then you marry her and she divorces you and takes half your shit. Whose fault is that?
All right.
Bro, that's not her fault for playing her game. That's your fault for falling for it. Right? None of those kids are yours and you're paying child support for all of them. Right? Like, you and some ghost dude out there, like, he's like, come on, bro. So when I give these talks and when I talk to these guys, I'm just telling you how the game works. Don't get mad at me because your girlfriend fell for some dude's game and she went home with some dude. So many women are like, oh my God, you're such a nice guy and he's such a nice guy. I'm not going to have for him for like 6 months. But
the douchebag she meets at the bar, she pounds that night in the parking lot in his Jeep. Right.
That's the red pill truth. And that's what, like, which guy would you rather be? And then the guy's like, well, I don't want to marry a woman if she's that easy. I'm like, bro, I'm afraid most of them are, man. I'm sorry. I just hate to be the one to tell you this.
With a few drinks and the right game.
We're human, man.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I'm not making judgment. I'm not saying she's this or she's that. I'm just saying, like what you just said right there, with a few drinks and you didn't put your foot in your mouth, bro. It's probably gonna go that way. Now, does that mean she's gonna be a horrible mom, a horrible wife, and all this? No, it doesn't. But you need to be cautious.
Yeah.
You need to vet. You have to take your time and figure out who she really is. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. So that's another thing. But these guys get locked in. It has to be this way. Myron Gaines said this, Rollo Tomasi said that. It's in the Rational Male. That's Rollo Tomasi's book, by the way, Rational Male. Rollo did not pay me to say that. But right. A lot of men read that book. And there's a lot of guys who credit the Fresh and Fit podcast, Rollo Tomasi, and some others like Rich Cooper. They credit those guys for still being here. So a lot of guys are like, bro, I'm about to end this. I can't take this anymore. I'm losing. I'm never going to win. But then they'll watch a podcast or they'll, read a book and they'll go one more day. And I'm not just saying that, making it up. I mean, I've been standing there listening to the guys talking to Myron or talking to Justin Waller. You might not know who he is. He's down with Andrew Tate. He's part of that clan. Real good dude. We were on a boat. Some kid walked up to Justin and was talking to him. And Justin's very Southern gentleman, well-dressed, and not like me. Like, the way I look like a pauper compared to the way he dresses, like, he's that guy. Like, he's always on point. Real cool guy, business dude. This guy comes up. Justin always talks to you, no matter what. Guy's wearing, like, T-shirt and some shorts or whatever, completely, like, bro, why are you even wearing that? Whatever. But he comes walking up, and the guy's like, Justin, Matt, can I say something to you, please? Yeah, brother, what's going on? So he must have talked to him for 30, 45 minutes. And I can hear bits and pieces of the conversation. And the guy was just like, it's because of you I got off the sofa. It's because of you I stopped playing video games. It's because of you I started my first business. He was like, bro, I can't thank you enough. I don't know how to thank you. And bro, he said something. He got real soft. And I could see the tears coming. He was like, bro. And I could be wrong here, but I believe he told Justin that he was going to end it.
Right.
He's like, because of you, I'm still here.
Right.
And I've seen guys talk to Myron about this. I've seen the messages. you know, these guys come up, like they are doing some good. Is there some bad out there? Yeah. Yeah, there's some bad out there, but
Well, I think it's like anything. You can't, you know, you cannot take every single thing, because Fresh and Fit and Andrew Tate, and, you know, like I said, like,
I met Tate, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
like 90%. I'm good on 80 to 90%. But when they, you know, then they've got the whole going off on, you know, you can have 7 babies' mamas or wives or whatever you want to call it, as long as you can afford them.
Well, you
And
can, but
I hear, I mean, and I understand. I mean, to me, I'm like, no. Like, first of all, if you have children with those women and those children know that you're not true to their mother, I think there's going to be animosity there. I also don't think that that's what this country, I think this country was built on Christian values. A man and a woman, you have 2 or 3 kids, you raise those kids, you know,
yeah,
that's
the
what.
nuclear family.
Exactly.
Like that guy over there.
Right. That's and that's what I think this country is founded on, and it's how it's
Agreed.
worked. So
Agreed.
to say, hey, I'm going to have, you know, 6 wives and have kids with all of those wives, and well, I can afford them, and they know what they signed up for, and it just doesn't work like that. Like, in the end, that system just breaks down very quickly.
Now, I agree with you, but let me say this.
Okay.
That's the game. And my thing is, I'll tell guys like, hey, man, if you want to do that and you can afford to take care of your children, you have the money.
And you have such game, you can convince 4 or 5 women to have.
That's the easy part, bro.
Bro, that's horrible.
That's the easy part. Unfortunately, that's the easy part. Getting the women to,
Well, that's because if you have enough money, then they're willing to.
thank you. This
to
is
do
always
whatever.
going to be that same.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. This country was founded on a nuclear family, and the further we get away from that, the more trouble we seem to have. You know, when you look at it, the blue pill is typically more liberal folks, and then the red pill seems to be more conservative when you get out there and actually start looking at it.
Right.
And when you look at young men and women today, the vast majority of women are what? Liberal. The vast majority of young men now are what? Conservative. Not just conservative, but like MAGA, which
Right.
I'm not a fan of. Like, but you got people who are like way over there. And they're like, the red pill is bad because it's making these dudes do this. It's like the red pill, that community is the only place these guys can get help. That's the only place these guys can go and folks are actually talk to them and listen to them. I was in Clearwater. This was a couple years ago when I first moved here, maybe 3 years ago. My cousin's been here forever. I'm at his bar. We watch football at this place in Clearwater. And we're in there, and I'm just kind of chilling. Place is packed, you know, and it's mostly white folks, and it's maybe 4, maybe 6 black people in there. Me, my cousin, and 4 other people. And we all know we all know each other. And then everyone else is white. No problem. Everybody's good people. There's this guy, this weirdo dude, white dude with a beard. This is like at the height of MAGA stuff. So I'm like, this is one of those guys. You know what I mean? I kind of got one eye on him because he doesn't fit. Like, why is he here? He doesn't fit. And I see him go to one group of people, white folks, they shun him, and he goes over to the bartender, really cool bartender, says something. The bartender kind of runs him off, and then he winds up close to my cousin, like just outside the door, talking to my cousin. I'm not worried about my cousin. My cousin's 6'4", you know what I mean? Like, what is he, 260 now? Like, I ain't worried about him. We come from the same place. So the guy's talking to my cousin. I got, you know, keep one eye on the situation. And then my cousin hugs the dude, and the dude goes away. So I go out like, yo, what was that, bro? He was like, man, that guy just walked away crying. Like, why? What'd you do to him? Like, nothing. He thanked me for spending time and talking to him. He was like, no one would talk to me in there, and I don't have any friends. My cousin bought him a beer. He was like, just, what's up with you, bro? Just talk to the guy. The guy talked to my cousin for however long that was, and just broke down in tears and walked away. And I'm like, there's so many guys out there like that right now. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to interact with humans for whatever reason. This dude is way too old to be a computer guy, but this guy is out there, probably some sort of nomad. He's just out there probably saying the wrong things to folks. And I'm going to keep it 100. This dude's probably a little bit racist. I ain't going to lie. He just had that look to him. I ain't going to lie to you, bro. Yes, we can tell.
What does that look like?
Like, a little, I mean, when he walked in, he walked by a couple of the black folks and just like no eye contact, like, you know, like the facial I'm thinking he might have been a little racist, right? I could be wrong.
Okay.
I'm not the guy that points to every white person like racist, but I pay attention to shit. So here's a guy that couldn't get love from his own people, so to speak. And the only person who showed him love was some black guy who he may or may not have been told that are bad or whatever. And the guy just broke down. To me, I'm like, that's the only thing that makes sense. The one person here that shows you love is the one person you were told to hate. Right? And he walks away crying. He's like, oh, I'm messed up or whatever. And again, I could be wrong on the racist part, but he did walk away in tears. And all he wanted to do was talk to people. And he got an opportunity. He just wanted human connection. There's tons of dudes in the red pill world that's all they want. And who's giving them that love is coming from the conservative side. Right? It's not coming from the mainstream media blue pill stuff.
No, because they especially if you're a white male, they hate you.
Especially if you're a white male. Well, I did some bad shit, bro. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the things that I'm not saying. So I was gonna say you go to the liberals and it's like immediately like you're white, you're supposed to be successful, you're supposed to like everything is your fault, anything that's going wrong. It's amazing how they've made it perfectly mainstream to show prejudice towards white men.
Yeah.
And so I mean I can see why that pushes that. You know what it reminds me of? This is funny because it's kind of the same thing. It's like in the Muslim countries, right? Like you cover the women, you cover their faces up, you don't let them drive, you don't let them own property, you don't necessarily let them read or hold jobs or that sort of thing. And you know, here's the other than just human rights violations. Here's the other problem is that's half your geniuses. That's half your workforce. That's half your engineers. Yeah. You've just put yourself at such a disadvantage of just in general, your economy, politics, your world, your leadership, or your leadership ability in the world. Like you've really, really cut yourself your Achilles heel, and trying to run a race. Like that's a major mistake.
Yeah. Little Sarah right there that you don't want to educate is the girl who's going to cure cancer, but she's not going to do it because you won't let her.
No, of course not. Now she's done. She's done. She's out of that. She's out of that race.
She's out of that race.
But then you take liberals. It's funny though. They're all like. They all think that all whites are racist and it's okay to hate right. Like I find when you talk to a liberal that the majority of them have extremely racist points of view, and yet they'll tell you that they're fighting racism. But you want to segregate colleges, you want to segregate workforces, you want to segregate housing, you want to have special laws for separate races. You want to it's like, are you like everything you're saying is discriminatory?
Everything is nuanced and everything. I mean, like when we look at housing, right? It's like you're right. It's like, well, DL Saint gets a break on this house because I'm black, and you don't get the same break because you're white. But when we look at housing, you're like, well, there's something behind that. You know what I mean? Like you go back far enough, you're like, well, there's something behind that.
I think there may have been.
There was.
Right.
And I get your point. Like the job that I had, I'm a retired air traffic controller. I got that job because of a program, 2 programs through the government. One was for African Americans and the other is for vets. And that's how I got my opportunity that led to my career and led to me being retired today. Right. Without those 2 programs, I wouldn't have gotten hired. I mean, it's just being honest. And obviously I could do the job. So I was more than qualified for the job and all that kind of stuff. So I'm agreeing with you. Like a lot of it's overboard, you know, and you're gonna have black folks who be like, so look what our people went through. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. That's what you get. But it's like, it's still wrong.
Yeah.
It's still wrong. Like it's wrong, but I understand it. But politically, especially with liberals, I lived in California for like 20, 25 years. Some of the most racist people I ever met in my life were in Hollywood. You want to talk about, at least in Georgia, someone will say something and they'll like, I'm sorry, we didn't know any better. We shouldn't use that word, should we? And I'm not even talking about the N-word, just like we shouldn't say this that way. You know, you can still have a relationship with some of these people. Some of these people, you can't do anything about it. You know, I got friends in Lecanto, Florida, bro. Like, you been up to Lecanto? You been up to Lecanto?
I don't know where that is.
Oh, it's north of here, bro. That's all you need to know. It's north of here. And I've had some conversations up there, but guess what? At their core, good people. And then they'll come and ask real questions. You gotta, as a black guy, I gotta be open to allow my friends to ask me questions because they just don't know certain things. Like, bro, because some of them, they've never even been around black folks outside of work. Like, we're talking about just interacting and being friends with black people. A lot of them never even have done that before. So I can't be like, oh, you racist son of a... I got to sit back and listen to them and say, no, this is why, like you said, I wouldn't say it that way because of this. I would say it this way. Now, if you continue to say it this way after I done talk to you about it, that means you are purposely saying this shit and we're going to have a real conversation. Did you just threaten me? Yes, I did. Right? And it's like, okay, you know what I mean? So you got that kind of thing. Like, for me, race is crazy because I don't want to alienate people, but we do have to talk about stuff. So it's kind of hard to find that middle ground. But California, bro, in LA on Sunset Boulevard, bro, I can't tell you how many times this has happened. You see how I dress. You see how I carry myself. I'm in the bar just hanging out. Some girl walks up, cutie, bad little chick. Oh, okay, she ready. She ready to holler. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get, okay, all right. She come up to me. She says, "I'm sorry, and I know I'm not supposed to ask you this, but do you have drugs?"
You know what's really fucked up is when he said she comes up to me, and I thought she thinks you're a drug dealer.
See,
Before you ever said that,
and that's just keeping it 100. I didn't think that would happen in California, in Hollywood. I'm like Beverly Hills. I'm on Sunset on the Beverly Hills side. I didn't think that would happen. And it's happened in Malibu to me. It's happened in Bel Air. It's happened in Studio City. Wherever I go, if I'm the black dude in the room, people come up and ask me for drugs. It's like, this is some racist ass shit. This is Cali. Right? This is Cali. It never happened in Cincinnati. It never happened when I was down here, like in Miami. It never happened in Dallas. It never happened to me in any other major city, only LA. And I'm like, all right, so, I mean, it is what it is. But when we break it all the way down.
Is it possible that most drug dealers are black and that she's just honing in on that?
Not in LA, bro.
No?
Nah, not in Hollywood. Most of the drug dealers are, Trevor and Hunter. They walking around. Hell, come on, man, it's Hollywood. Like, bro, them white boys got the powder. I mean, that's just how it is. This whole conversation is my version of Red Pill. But we came out, I put it all out there. I'm like, this is how I see it. This is the code. You know what I mean? No matter how uncomfortable it may seem, I'm going to tell you how I see it. It is what it is.
But most people can't have a conversation.
I know.
Most people nowadays can't have a conversation. Like there's things that you've said that I disagree with, but okay, let's move on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's fine. We're going to disagree on that. That's fine. So then you just keep moving on. But most people, boy,
they drill down on it.
And they can't get off it. And next thing you know, I know guys that have had a slight deviation in their opinion and stopped talking for 10 years, then became friends again, and then stopped talking again. It's like,
you stop talking to me for 10 years over something, whatever it is.
Are you serious?
Don't come back to talk to me. I mean, if you can't...
You can't have a conversation?
I can't I don't have to agree with everything you say. In fact, we're supposed to disagree. So I can think about my position. Well, damn, man, Kobe really didn't like it when I said this shit. Let me think about it. Am I missing something here? Let me think about that. But people don't want to do that.
Hey, you guys, do me a favor. Check out DL Saint. I really want to know. So it's DL Saint. I really want to know podcast. We're going to put the link in the description box. And if you like the video here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Share the video because that really helps with the algorithm. Also, if you want to get in contact with me to be a guest on the show and you think you have a good crime story or maybe you were in law enforcement, then please go to the link. My email is in the description box. Also, we have the link for a form that you can fill out and you leave. Listen, bro, let me explain something. If you're going to fill out the form, it asks you to leave a video. When it says leave a video, like a 3-minute video, it's you just talking for 3 minutes. Don't send me a video for the company that you work for, like a video of people painting houses or maybe a roofing video that you're like, oh, it wants a video. What the minute is, we want you to do a quick video. Just grab your phone and be like, hey, Matt, my name is Matt Cox. Hey, Matt, my name is Matt Cox. Hey, Matt, my name is John. I robbed 5 banks or whatever you did, real quick, just blah, blah, blah. And really, I'm be honest with you, what we're making sure is that you have all your teeth and you can actually speak. We've had issues. And I know that's wrong, and I feel bad about that. But there is a video component to this podcast, and so that's part of it. So do me a favor, go in the description box, click all the links, leave me a comment, and please consider joining our Patreon. It's $10 a month. We put Patreon exclusive content. I'm sure Colby will pull something from this that he feels did not further the actual video. He'll come up with 5 or 10 minutes or 20 minutes and probably drop that on Patreon. Maybe not. Maybe this was riveting. I don't think so. But we'll see what happens. Who knows what Colby will do. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, you guys. See ya.
Hey, bro. Yo, if you guys want to comment, you want to go in on me, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Tell me 5 things you don't like about the Trump administration, and then you can say whatever you want to say to me. That's all I ask. 5 things about the Trump administration you do not like.
It was 3 before.
Well, yeah, but I want 5. Give me 5.
Because why? Because it's an open book as opposed to
because I gave him reasons here, so I'm gonna give you some few more.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
I understand. Is that it?
Yep.
All right, that's it.
Appreciate
See
that,
ya.
man.